Thank you, Engineer Lawrence, for sharing our virtual prayer and our pambansang awit. At this point, let me share muna yung reminders, mga friendly reminders. Bago po tayo mag-start ng ating webinar. Saglit lang ha, medyo maingay pa sa background. Ay, Sir Jeff, pwede po ba ma-share muna yung yung program po?
Yeah, sure, Jen. All right, so I'll just. All right.
Okay, yan po yung program natin today. The title of the webinar is the Patent Search Webinar Workshop. Tapos na po tayo sa opening prayer, national anthem, and we'll go on to the opening remarks. But before that, I'm going to share with you the simple reminders, few reminders lang po bago po sa webinar. As po. May isi-share lang po ako, Sir Jeff.
Okay. Sige, Jen.
Ito po. Ayan. Mga simple reminders lang po sa ating participants before the webinar starts. And number one, please turn off your microphone during the webinar or unless you are asked to respond. Number two, listen attentively and keep an open mind as you listen to the speaker. It is also to respect the speaker. Number three, inquiries and clarification will be entertained after the talk or if the speaker calls for it, or you may type your questions in the chat box. And for other concerns, just ask the technical working group or the host through the chat box. All right, so ayan. For our welcome remarks, let us call Ms. May, Engineer May Buston Osoteo, the faculty of ABE, from the Department of Agricultural and Biosystems Engineering, for her welcome remarks. Ma'am May?
Yes, ma'am. Salamat. Okay, so good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Engineer Del Yosa for this opportunity nga gidawat niya ang mga OJT sa TTLO. So, I would like to welcome everyone to our Patent Search webinar and workshop today. So last week we have learned how important it is for us inventors, especially to us mga ABEs and ACEs, to protect our works. So today we will learn about how to do a patent search, and of course, what are the search engines that we could use in doing patent search. So I hope this webinar and workshop will help us not only sa atong mga students sa ilahang pag-eskwela throughout their journey sa ilahang college, but of course sa ilahang pagka-professional puhon, pag-practice ilahang professions. So, I think that's all that I could say. Once again, with my co-faculties here, I would like to welcome everyone to our webinar and workshop on patent search. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am May. So welcome again to our webinar series. We'd like to acknowledge the participants also, the students from the ECE and ABE OJTs from CSU. And we have also some participants outside CSU. So welcome everyone. And at this juncture, may we call on our first speaker, our TTLO director and our professor from ECE, from the Department of Engineering and Communication, Electronics and Communications Engineer. Tama ba, sir? Sir, sorry, guys. Let us all welcome Engineer Jeffrey D. Dillosa, our first speaker for today, who talk on overview and patent information. Sir, good morning.
Thank you, Jan. Daghang kay salamat, Jan. So, yes, good morning, everyone, to our fellow faculty members here in the university, and to some of our guests outside from CSU. I would like, I think, to mention Dr. Ray Kapampangan. So, welcome, Sir Ray, Dr. Ray, in this webinar session. And those others who have not, I think there are other participants outside the OJT group now of the IBE. I would like to welcome them as well. Now, I think Kenneth mentioned there will be somebody from the FIC. So, yes, so welcome and good morning, everyone. So, this morning, so I'll just give a brief background siguro, no? So, we designed this webinar series for the OJTs, no, for ABE and ECE. So, we designed it in mind considering these students, participants, no? So, also we will be wait, please wait lang, no, I have to okay, all right. So I just want to go back to where we started, you know, when we like cook this webinar series, no? So it is in the intention of providing our OJTs well, all the knowledge, no, supposedly that we can share, no, from what we've learned from our own journey, and so that we can transfer this knowledge and share it through this webinar series. No? So we have we tried to craft this webinar series, like we started way back last week, no, when we introduced about the different forms of intellectual property. And then basically, we also introduce to all the participants, the students, patent, which will be the subject of the next webinars. No? So especially beginning today towards the end of the last session we have that is scheduled as shown in this slide. No? So for today, we will have patent search, and then we will have the patent drafting webinar October 2, 16, and 23. So more or less, during the October 2 sessions, medyo comprehensive ni siya. And then during the October 16 session, it will be like a follow-up sessions now for those who are working on patent drafts. So on October 23, another sessions for follow-ups. So if we felt like there will be enough, or there will be needed parang mga items that we need to discuss, and then that will also be serving as our venue. So for those who have not participated last week, we will not go, forgive us, no, because we will not be going back to those subject, but focus on the patent search that we will be talking about for this one day, no. And I think okay, so I think these are the three talks that I don't know. So I'll be talking about the overview of the patent search, patent information search. Okay, right. So these are the outline, no? So what is patent information? So it's an introductory part. So why we need to conduct patent search, then what are the objectives of the patent search, and the types of patent search. So my references includes materials mainly coming from the World Intellectual Property Organization, who's been sharing generously about IP. Then, of course, some references from U.S. Patent Office, and then mainly from the, and of course, from the IPOPHIL, the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. So let's go back to this. I mean, let's start with some introduction of why we are trying to conduct a patent search. And when we apply patent application, so that's when we endorse our documents to the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. So when we lodge it to the government office that we have here, so different countries have different, again, they have different patent offices. No? So Singapore Patent Office, or the China, they have their own patent office, and then they have different like processes on how they process our patent application. And just like what we are trying to do internally, so for the IPOPHIL, when they receive the patent application, so they kind of look into the application in terms of the formality examination. So they conduct formality examination if the information needed is available, and if the writings for the patent application is like in order based on their mga requirements, no, prerequisites. Then they will provide us the patent search. I mean, they will provide us the formality examination report, and then that's the time that they will say, blah blah blah. We have conducted this. Then everything is in order, and then things like that. And then after that, they actually kind of conduct some preliminary, which is included in the formality examination report. They will conduct kind of preliminary search. No, patent search, but it's not as extensive as they want it to be. No? So parang preliminary lang. So that gives you an idea if your application is somehow novel or inventive. No? So parang preliminary, but that is not yet the basis for which that your application will be rejected or not. No? So, and basically, it will go through a series of examination, like the substantive examination. No? They will release the application, publish the application online, so websites IPOPHIL, and then later on. So these are how the patent offices kind of work out now. But in terms of the time frame, countries might be different on that aspect. So for us, the one I gave you as an example is, for example, in the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. So our interaction kind of gave us an idea na this is how examiners manage our application. And so sorry, I kind of distracted. And then, all right, so let me proceed with, so for us to be granted with a patent, I mentioned that it starts with filing an application on our side. So on our side, that will be on our side. So that should contain all the information necessary from the specifications. I think these are the things that we also want to cover and discuss now as we go along. And most especially when we kind of go into the patent drafting part already. So all this information that we need to prepare are really been like outlined, for us to prepare and then submit it to the IPOPHIL. And then the application document contains, I think, all the information describing the patent. Especially they will be looking for the detailed description of the invention, and then they ask for the drawings of the invention, especially if this is related to mechanical. And then they will be looking also for especially for the claims. So we'll be during this course, we will be covering some parts, bits and pieces now about the claims of the invention, and then why we are looking for that, for example. And especially we talk about that more also on the patent drafting, during the patent drafting. So when we look at the patent document, if we did not like opened yet one patent document, these are the following features. No, so the patent document provides a thorough detail of the invention. So you'll see drawings that like show you really how the invention like came together. So in terms of parts and assembly. So this also includes the information on how the reader could carry out the invention if you intend to like mass produce it. So if even anybody who can like read and understand the drawing and then follow the description, anybody can basically assemble the invention. So the patent document also describes the invention claimed, in essence identifying the legal scope of the patent right. So there is a claim portion wherein people like us can read, because the patent document is open to the public. This is available to the patent databases that will be shared to you this morning, and you can read the claim. I think we mentioned this last time that the claims is like basically is a layman pa. That is what we particularly own in the invention. So setting boundaries that the ownership on that particular invention is ours. Okay. And basically we have we'll be able to identify and know who are the inventors. So if there are one or more inventors there, so we will identify, we'll be able to know which who are the inventors and specifically who are the owners. So I think we mentioned previously that it may not be the same. So if you work in a company, usually a private company or even in a university, usually the owner of the patent is owned by the company you work for, or the institution or organization you work for, and you remain as identified as an inventor. And you will also be able to identify other illegal information. So the patent document also provides references to other patents or documents if they are relevant to the invention. And so just similar to the like what we do in the review of related literature in our thesis. So this is similar. So you build upon. We talk about the prior. We talk about the prior in terms of building innovation and invention beyond the existing prior art. So that's why reference is important. Like sometimes we argue, in our patent application, we argue that there is like lacking. Like if you presented a new invention and then you would argue that your invention is better than what technologies are existing today. So you kind of like argue on that in the patent document, that your invention, that's the reason why you're working on this, because you want to improve on the performance, the efficiency of the product. So that provides us information about more on the details of the invention when we look into the patent document. Okay. So we cite other inventions, kumbaga, through their patents as well. So the published patent document is often organized in a uniform manner. So we will see the front page of a published patent application generally displays bibliographic information such as the title of the invention. So what the invention is all about. So there's also a technique in terms of writing the title of the invention. I think that's more related to the patent drafting now, but we will commonly use the title of the invention later on in terms of looking for relevant patent documents that are somewhat the same or similar to our invention, and they will be key. So they are very important and key to our search in terms of looking for similar invention. And I will cite later the reasons really, but let me go first how the patent document is being structured, and then or what you can find in the patent document. So you'll also see the date of filing, and then when date of filing, meaning to say when did you file. So during the last webinar, we mentioned that it's very important for us to like set the the filing date na kita gimauna, no? So there was this discussion last time that it is very important for us to file first, no, the patent application, because we don't know exactly kung nabay similar nga invention or creation that is about to be filed, no, in any other patent offices. So that's where when we talk about the priority date. So this is the date when the content of the application was first filed in any country or region. No? So first to file rule. So we get when we are the ones who like file the invention first, then we get the priority date, and somebody else will file the same document later on. Kind of in terms of the novelty, they will be kind of defeated. No, because you were able to first file the technology, no, or that particular patent application. And then we'll also get to know the relevant technical field, the name and address of the applicants, and the details of the inventor. No? So potentially what companies they are working for or what they are in right now. So basically this is what a patent document looks like. So if you go to if you conduct patent search later on, and then you'll see patent documents from the USPTO or even in the patent scope now of WIPO. So this is the parang bibliographic page now that you can find. You'll see the title of the invention, which is Berberella, and then the inventors, even the address is also included. So application number, when this was filed, October 19, 2001. So if this is a patent, then this patent will lapse already. So because of the nature, no, 20 years lang ang protection. And then you see here also the reference, no, patent document references. So meaning to say there is somewhat a kind of related parang technology or product ahead of this invention. No? So they cited this because, of course, in the documents later on, they will justify it. Why your invention is different to those existing inventions already published or even approved. All right. So I think I went over this patent application. Right. So this is the Berberella. No, this is just an example. I think this is a petty patent in the US. So the patent document also contains an abstract and a representative drawing of the invention, if given available. So you see here in this document, there is an abstract in the right. No? So there is a representative na drawing to show you immediately that what is this invention all about. So you see the umbrella. No? So basically, Berberella is an umbrella for the beer. So yeah. So I think this is a basic invention, basically. But just to illustrate now that things like this can also be applied for. And in terms of the bibliographic page, this is what you will find. So bibliographic information is also included in the front page, essential means of identifying, locating, and retrieving other related patent documents such as scientific journals. So it's not just when the examiners, by the way, we examined our patent applications, they're not just looking at the patent documents published in the patent databases. They're also looking for relevant documents in the different types of journals, no? So conference proceedings, if this was already made before, no? So because they're gonna check for the requirements. Not we mentioned last time in our webinar, we mentioned that to get a patent, you need to satisfy the requirements that it is novel, inventive, and industrially applicable. No? So they will be looking for novelty, no, and inventiveness, most especially. And then they will check for if this invention already existed before or not. And so the patent specifications, this is the most important and informative part of the published patent document in respect of the substantive aspect of the invention. Okay, so there will be, like, of course you've seen the drawing. So basically the patent document does not contain only the drawing, but there will be specifications wherein that you define, no, or you discuss the items like the background of the invention. So why are we doing this? Why is this parang na-create, no, or na-develop, you can say that, something like that. And then parang in a nutshell, no? So there is also a summary of the invention, what the invention is all about, no? So parang writing journal pa rin, no? Parang writing a journal, kaya lang medyo the way, there's a difference of writing the journal though, or writing a parang technical paper, because there is a different language and tone, no, in the patent document. So writing between patent application and like journal article or ano, I could say personally, no, so I could say that it's a bit different and more parang dili naman difficult kayo, but then there is this language that you need to satisfy, okay? Mostly patent applications were written by lawyers, no? So lawyers. So most of the patent documents that you can find in the internet, in the databases, are often written by lawyers, no? So mahilig na sila there, mga wherefore, mga ano. So whereas, mga ano, so mahilig na sila ganyan, no? So there's this sense of kanang the evolution of writing the patent document. So now when the patent applications are submitted to ano, simple lang, I claim that this invention, so simple lang kayo pag sulat, no? But then now there are set of rules, no, that need to be like we need to follow, no? So these are the things or the specifications that we need to write and prepare. So usually if the thesis or the journal article or the research output is already completed, so we kind of structure that into this, no? So yeah, I need to mention about brief discussion of any drawings. When we introduce the drawings and the patent document, so we like also mentioned figure 1 is the isometric view of the invention. So things like that. It's very short. But there's also an option that there's also a part of the document that we need to provide details, no? Details, description of the invention. This is where we discuss na when we refer to the drawing later on. So I have to mention that most of this will be thoroughly discussed in the patent drafting. So rest assured that you guys, our students, you will be taught in terms of the detailed aspect of how we write the description of the invention in the patent drafting webinar or workshop. So ang ako laron is an overview. No? So this is a detailed description of the invention where you will be able to discuss na figure 1A, the component, this part of the component, this transistor or this block diagram acts. So you will have to discuss it. No? So that's where the part where you need to provide details. No? So when the examiner go through that description, so he will like be appreciative, and then with the notion that indeed anybody who will read this patent document can actually like replicate the same invention. Okay, so ingon ana sa so pwede kung ikaw layman or ikaw expert, so for example you guys mga agricultural and biosystem engineering, if there is a patent document related to a mechanical device, agricultural device, and then if you read the patent document, you will appreciate if everything is detailed there, so that you guys can actually like reconstruct it. So you will be able to reconstruct it. So that's the main parang gusto sa mga examiner, that you will be able to discuss and define everything in your patent application document. And then reason sa mga examiner they will say this lacks clarity. Sometimes they will tell you that because walay cohesiveness baron sa when you wrote the patent document specifications, walay cohesiveness or walay connection ng mga parts nga gipang discuss nimo. So things like that, so they will complain about this lack of clarity, please improve this and that. So this is part of a technical writing as well. I think you guys, AB and NEC students, were taught before how to write technical papers during our English class, but then so things like this will be covered in terms of how we will write the patent application later on in the patent drafting workshop. So you can find patent documents. You can really find that. You can look at the database after we will have some exercise. So claims, no? So I'll just introduce this. The claims part of a published patent document defines the scope of the legal protection. So we know we will be also, again, we'll be thoroughly discussing about claim drafting, but parang ano lang, basic na ano lang, no? So we will not like, we will not take so long here. We need to just say that the claims part is parang that the one I mentioned is about setting the boundaries of ownership of your invention. Now that means that your invention should be basically like parang sa inyong balay, no? Look at your house. No? So I mentioned about this, like naatay mga mohon sa balay nga. That sets the boundaries of our ownership, no, of our parang ang sets the legal claim, no, of our claim of our house, no, so things like that. So when we have mohon around us, so we are kind of confident that this is really my my lot, no, this is the property that I really own, no. So that means that we're setting a tone that this is the part where we kind of have a claim, no, on the invention. So of course that is when we submit the invention, the patent application to the IPO. So that is like a proposal, no? That is a proposal that I am claiming this, no? So I am claiming this. So it doesn't necessarily also guarantee that indeed the IPO or no, they will grant you immediately, no? So you're just proposing that I claim this based on my invention. But that's where also later on that the examiner of the IPO will look for other documents kung wala ba kayo nabanggaan, no? So wala ba kayo nabanggaan claims kay basit ni claim ka karon ingon na ni ako aning invention, mao ni ako ang claim sa akong invention, and then somebody have already claimed that invention ahead of you, no? So that means that you might be infringing on the claim. So the examiner will ask you if that happens. The examiner will ask you to revise the claims, no? So when we submit the application, by the way, so this is the part where we usually ask to revise the document. So there is this thing, no, that the applicant will have to draft the claim as broadly as possible, because we want to like get a bigger chunk or claim a bigger chunk of ownership, no, on that particular invention, no. So gusto nato na siya nga dako, di ba? So again, go back to the analogy of owning your own lot, no, owning a lot, no, residential lot. So gusto nimo madako-dako imong lote, no? So gisibog nimo ang mohon. But then the other resident would also complain, no, that's no longer part of your ownership, no, lot. So pabalikon ka. Then so that's the time where the patent office will ask you that. No, hey, come on. So that's beyond your claim, no. So that's beyond your claim. That's no longer your area, your property. No, so you will be asked to narrow your claims, no, to the actual invention described. So it's kind of like there's an art, no, in terms of negotiation, no, in terms of but to be very safe, no, so ang safest yun is kanang what you really exactly own, your actual invention. So that's the safest. So usually that's also the part wherein mas dali magkasinabot ang examiner o ang applicant in terms of what has been claimed na invention. So this is very important because later on, if the examiner missed that, like the examiner allowed you to claim as broad as possible, and then the other party who has ownership to the same claim will actually like raise questions to the court, no, to invalidate your claim, no, claim of ownership to the invention. So they will say, blah 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 blah, you crossed our property. So actually we were the first one, so we have the novelty, we have the inventive right, so you're not allowed to cross our parang lot, no, because we have already this, no. So they will argue on that, no. So there will be patent litigation. And I think we mentioned this in our webinar last Saturday, that this is where like the Apple company sued Samsung because Apple claimed that they have ownership to that particular product, di ba? So ingona na siya, no? So there will be litigations, and in the end, Apple or Samsung was really forced by the court in the US to pay Apple, no? So about 500 or 600 million US dollars no pay to for the infringement they committed down no, from the infringement. So they were asked by the court, no, because there was this patent litigation that some Apple sued Samsung and then Samsung was ordered. So that's the cost, no. Sometimes kung if we really push the boundaries, no. So sometimes we would say, sayop mo sa patent office, but that's a different discussion. All right. So okay. So if you see here, basically, kaning claim, no, we claim. So there is claim here: combined beverage container and shading apparatus comprising of a beverage. So these are the details of the claims, and then how they are actually being written. No? So that means that during the patent drafting, mo na ito makitaan. So right now, this is very important because we can use this claims portion to find for the related documents. No? So ingana siya. No? So right now, it is not our intention to understand how the claim is being written because that will be covered in the subject of patent drafting. So more about claims. So I think nabalik na rin, no? So before the internet, so you might be wondering long time ago, yun sa pag kung na if you're working in the patent office, how do people kind of look for patent documents, no? So I think we are in a day and age that we are very fortunate because it will no longer take us so much time to find for relevant documents, no? And I think during that time, so well, that's the way of life they have before, no? So they don't complain, no? So looking back, it's kind of difficult, no? Because you go through, so of course it's like a library, no? So patent office before is like a library of knowledge, no? So they also arrange those inventions, no? So I think we're talking about I think Engineer Grana will be talking about patent classification, no? So how we organize the documents in the patent database. So I think that's also what happened before. Remember that Albert Einstein, worked in the patent office before, no? So he has experience in the patent office, and I think so. Although he's very good in math, no, in physics, then so we know that for sure ang iyang pagka-innovativeness, no, so yung mga principles were also like murag kwan, no, na naasa na influence po siya kumbaga, no, sa patent office. He worked for the Switzerland patent office before, no, si Papa or Lolo Albert Einstein. Okay, so I think it's worth mentioning, no, that when you go for search before you go to have to travel to other offices, I think during that time it's like the European and the patent office, those are the most active ones in terms of patent applications. Okay, if we go back to our session last time, the first patent application filed in the Philippines was until 1950. I think that was the first, no, 1950 pa, no? So kani sila mga 1860s, they have their own patent office already, no? So kita sa to late kaya ta, no, 100 years late more or less, no? So 100 years late maranganganin na gini permanente, no, Pilipinas. So the first patent that was released was in 1950. Itong patent, itong process about the oleaginous oil, no? So I think I mentioned this already, si Lolo Einstein. So I think part of his being kanang smart man, yeah, has something to do with sa iyang pagka-employee, no? Okay. So today, in many industrial offices, so we do and find patent information through the different patent databases, no, very modern na. And then these documents, of course, no, so dugay-dugay na ang WIPO, ang uban nga databases or kanang mga offices, no, nag-transition to really making use of the online platform, no. So taod-taod na, if you follow the history, no, so we're trying to transition pa into online classes, online things like this. But it's been quite a bit na long time na the documents were being facilitated online. No? So, and that would help us parang simplify our search. No, because we don't have to go places now and go to the IPO field to look for documents. And when we apply for patent po before, so we rely solely no mga law firms no kay ngani magyapon law firms karon but then but according to IPO field no based on this development in the last decade, so universities like us and many other universities in the country were empowered no to draft and apply our patent applications. No, so for one, yeah, it's because they wanted us. No, so in the Philippines, they wanted us to really get ourselves involved in terms of pushing the boundaries of innovation. No, like parang okay, we will do R&D and then apply for application. And I think during earlier this morning, we showed about the global innovation index no, that ranks the countries, and there's a lot of effort being done by the government, UST, specifically DTI, to kind of really push that no, we can improve our GII status. No? So just that for this year, we slipped no, one place no, from 50 last year to 51. And I think it's just one major thing is about the pandemic, so we kind of backtrack. No? But if we look at the progress of our innovation outputs, or the invention outputs that we have back from 2011, we were 91, 91st, and then now we are 51st. That's 40 places, and that's a very good for me. The improvement that the country has moved forward. So where can we find patent information? So these are some of the world's like free and available patent databases. No? So WIPO, so we can search patentscope.wipo.int search, or you can just type no WIPO patent search and the Google, no, in Google WIPO patent search, and then that will direct you to the WIPO patent scope no, na database. And then so WIPO basically as mentioned last time, so basically this is a UN organization that like really work to like gather information, all these patent documents from the different countries and make them available to their databases. So all our patent applications and published by the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines are also accessed or indexed by WIPO, meaning to say they have these documents made available to their databases. So that if we gonna look for the documents that we try to look for, so we can go in this one particular place, no? So one particular database. We don't have to go to the Singapore Patent Office, look for this document. We go for Japan Patent Office, puro Japanese. No, we might not be able to understand. Also to the China Patent Office, we don't understand. So WIPO has this feature that their documents written in Japanese and Chinese and other languages can be translated, machine translated to English. No, so ingana siya. So there is that feature of WIPO, and yeah, so there's a lot of work going on with WIPO and to make our lives in terms of getting patent information easy. So there's also such thing as the European Patent Office, and they call their patent database as SPASnet. So yeah, USPTO, Japan Patent Office, and the IPO field. So I love our country, Philippines, but the website of IPO field. So for me, I have so many complaints in terms of the how to access documents. So slow. I mean, I'm sorry, but we keep on complaining about this already. But using SPASnet, WIPO. So these are the free patent databases now you can use. But later on, Engineer Grana will also kind of showcase to us there is a commercial database that really organized properly the documents as well. Like for example, if you want to find mga documents coming from Caraga State University, so you can also look for this now. But section yan. So for example, patent documents from the Philippines, for example. So features like this will be discussed in a while by Engineer Grana. So yeah, stand by for that. So he will be our third speaker. So I think Kenneth is also already here na. So we will be talking about the different strategies of finding patent documents. So I'll not be showing this because, as mentioned, our other speakers will be providing you techniques and showing you how to use these patent databases. So other patent information, you can find that in the journals. There's also a patent magazine. So the examiners, if they will look for your patent application, they will look for not only in the database, but online magazines. No? So everything online. So if gusto tang, for example, no, because we're still applying for atong patent application, so we don't disclose our invention online. So kana bitong na ginatawag nga enabling disclosure, because kana mag-enabling disclosure, pasabot is, like for example, you kind of provide a thorough, detailed information about the invention, and then the problem is that you are not able to file for patent application yet. So we discourage that. No? So sa Philippines man good, different countries have different rules. No? Ang European Patent Office, they're very strict. The moment you provide information online and then they check na, oh, this is already available online. So the novelty requirement, remember, no, the newness requirement or the novelty requirement will be defeated, no, kind of things like that. So for us in the Philippines, as long as dili siya walay enabling disclosure, nakay 1 year to file for your patent application. Mention mo na nga, I have this product, technology, blah, blah, blah. Pero very general kayo siya. So ang IPOFAIL would allow you to kind of give you 1 year to file for your invention. I think this will be discussed more. So the value of patent information, okay? So technology transfer and foreign direct investment. So more on managing na, no? Managing na niya. So basically for us researchers in the university, kamo, no, we will be going on doing your own thesis. So primarily, we don't want to develop the same product what are now existing in the market. No? So we want to avoid duplication. No? So it's no use basically. No? It's no use basically for us to kind of copy the same technology that is already been in the public. The one thing that we want to encourage you guys, especially mga SE, no, mga students, mga ABA students, is to build on top of what is existing now ng mga technology. Now, if you see there's an improvement in the rice thresher, so if you are really into the rice thresher machines, so your job would be to look into doing the patent search, no, doing research on the patent documents related to rice thresher. Inyong gi-collect tanan mo ni mga technologies sa rice thresher, but then wala gyapon na solve ang problema. So that's where you build a technology that has not been solved by this existing rice thresher. Now, so that's how we move beyond the prior art, no? So existing documents. Okay, so I hope okay na siya, no? So all right. So we want to move to, or okay, we also avoid, no, costly development of this duplication. So when you do a duplication again, no, so you will incur resources, time, and then the same results with the others inventors. So okay, use of patent information for the corporate strategy. Okay, so kung business na siya. So, for example, sa pharmaceutical companies, no, so Unilab, for example, so they make use of the patent information available to them. I think I have a slide here, no, Juan. Nagpabaga kog nawong nga akong gipost among nawong. So, I think Unilab, they don't have the R&D, no, specifically. They're not like Pfizer. They're not like big companies like AstraZeneca, no, Astra. So they are not as big as that now in terms of R&D. So what they did, like they make use of the patent information. No, actually, even that during that time, si Attorney Ochabe, no, I just mentioned this. They mentioned that really they copy it and then they improve on that, and then of course in the patent database you can follow how they were developed, kind of the structure, the chemical structure, for example. So yeah, they use this information for their strategy to produce products. So So in terms of originality, they're not the original ones, no. So but then Unilab is the biggest pharmaceutical company in the Philippines. But then they make use of this patent information to basically develop their own drugs. Okay. So objectives of the patent search, again, I mentioned about for us to avoid the duplication of our R&D work. So identify specific new ideas and technical solutions, products, or processes. No? So by looking at the existing prior art, so identify the state of the art in a specific technological field in order to be aware of the latest development. So if you look at, like, for example, no, basic na lang, no? For example, home appliances. So if you look at the different technologies of for example, sa mga rice cooker, no? So you look into what is the present technology applied, no, in the rice cooker, and then how do you want to or what things you want to develop or invent so that you can further the state of the art of the rice cooker, no, meaning to say innovate even more, no, or develop even more the rice cooker, no. So yun na sa, no? So you look at so many available karon nga technology sa rice cooker, and then we improve on that. So kung pa may mga missing things in the rice cooker, you can introduce so that this will be something new and different, and then inventive siya in a way, no? So these are some of the objectives, no? So identify alternative technology and its sources. Okay, so I think the most important one that I mentioned, basically what the objectives are, no, for finding patent documents. So basically for you guys, for thesis, so for thesis students, no, because you are OGTs, at the same time you will be working on your thesis. So as much as possible, you need to be thorough about looking for the documents, no, and then find out how can you still further innovate, no, because these are, I believe, existing machines, no? So you can refer to. So there are a lot more reasons, no? So identify existing or prospective industrial property rights, kinsay mga owners, no? So for companies, this is very important, no? So there are companies who would look into, okay, what are the activities of Apple today, no? So they can look into the strategies of what Apple is doing, no? So for example, if I'm a competitor of Apple, I am Samsung, I'm looking at, okay, what the competitor is doing, but also focusing, no, in terms of developing technologies in the pipeline. So these companies identify the strategy based on also the available patent documents. Usually, ang patent documents are made available ahead of the launch of the products, no? So commercial. Before in the US, pareho the process, no? When when Steve Jobs announced the iPhone cell phone, during that time, wala pa sila nag-apply of patent, no? But then they announced it commercially ahead of time. And then later on, they filed for patent. And then it was accepted, no? Because we have the same process before na you will be given 1 year lead time to file for your patent application. So yung nga na siya, no? So there's this sense in the business sa business, grabe gid ka gamit ng patent information search, no? Patent search, because they look at the different industries, what are these industries doing. And I mentioned that if you're a direct competitor, so you get to know your, so parang make your friends or your enemies closer to you. So I really study there, on top of your building your strategies, kumbaga. Okay. All right. So monitor activities to gain a clear picture of competitor strengths. That's what I mentioned. So determine availability of patented technologies for application in a particular territory as a result of the principles of territoriality. So now I mentioned that if during our last webinar, ang patent yun siya is, di ba, territorial in nature, no? So even if you filed in the Philippines and you missed out on filing your application in Japan, Malaysia, Indonesia, then kanimong technology is applicable to these countries, then sayang kayo, no? Because you'll not be enjoying the fruits of your labor later on in terms of deploying your machine, no, sa katong mga countries, no? So you don't have patent protection there. So what you can find is that you need to make sure that when you applied for patent, so we seek for approval or we seek for the PCT route, no? Like for example, Patent Cooperation Treaty, which is made by WIPO, no? During 1 year of when we first applied our patent application. So 1 year, during that 1 year, you'll be allowed, no, to seek for international application. So the PCT will also conduct their own patent search, and then it's very important, no, we mentioned about that because you want to maximize the potential of your technology by applying to other countries. But we have to make sure that we do that in the course of within 1 year when we filed the first application to IPOFIL. All right, questions so far? May clarifications from the audience? So I was trying to purposely fast track my talk, no, because a lot of the details will be coming from the patent search tools and IPC classification. Okay, I don't see any comments, questions, so I'll go straight ahead. So feel free not to kind of raise your questions in the chat box. So hopefully everything is clear for now. So I will not be covering this anymore now because I'll be running out of time. But the thing is that this is similar, no? That case study is very similar to what I mentioned about Unilab, no, when they developed the product. So we know that patent will expire in 20 years. No? So patent will expire in 20 years. There are cases that the pharmaceutical companies would ask for an extension. Now, this is specifically true in the US. So they would justify it that they need more time, so they need to extend for another 5 years or 10 years. Now, with all the justifications. No? Because the problems in pharmaceutical companies or the development of the drugs, so dugay kaya siya, no? So I would ask always my wife, how long would that take? So it takes a long time, very expensive. And sometimes, na-approve na ang patent, saka pa murag very close na, 3 years, 5 years na lang ang kanang murag commercial exploitation. No? So that's the thing, no, for pharma, no? Because it takes a long time to develop the drug. And when they first applied it, and then they have to conduct more studies, things like that. No? So ipa-approve pa sa FDA, Food and Drugs. No? So ano siya, no, medyo dugay. What happens to Unilab is that they were able to maximize the patent information. So I got a lot more of his perspectives because we were able to talk with kaning attorney Jose Maria Ochave during his visit here in Caraga, no, in 2018. This was the forum on University Industry Government Forum, and then there were a lot of questions to him. Okay, what are the strategies, no, being put in place in Unilab? And actually, he mentioned right there na it's okay to copy, no? So yeah, it's okay to copy, but make sure that there is an improvement, no? So to start with, copy the same thing, but find things that how you can improve on that particular product that you're copying, no? So in the drug business, for them, of course, when that particular drug lapse their patent protection, for example, kanang Pfizer, so they're free now to do work, no, in terms of copying the same structure, you know. So because the protection is already lapsed, no, for drugs. I mean, I think if you analyze it, drugs, ang kuan magod, for example, no, mga biogesic, no, for over a long time kaning mga paracetamol, dugay na makain no, for siguro ako I've been taking medicine now for example, fever, so last 30 years. So 20 years, for a long time ago, nahimo na siya. So it's easy for them to like, okay, there is no lapse na, there's no protection already. So they kind of introduce this, parang you make use of that. But ang Unilab is also focusing on right now on based on kay Attorney Ochave, no? So they're trying to partner with universities. I think NMSUIT, they partner through katong mga medicines, kaning mga traditional medicines. Actually mo ginailang ginapangita, no, traditional medicines these days. And Attorney Ochave, who is the Vice President, no, for Business Development, Senior Vice President. Okay, my time is until 9:30, I think, no? So 8:30 to 9:30. So types of patent search. We have this pre-application search, state-of-the-art search, novelty search, patentability, and validity search, name searches, technology activity searches, infringement searches, and legal status searches. So for us, no, so we are particular with the initial searches, no, so pre-application, state-of-the-art, novelty search, because that's where our like business no to know, no, in terms of file later on patent application. But for big businesses, now if we are going towards the technology commercialization, so kaning mga legal status search, mga infringement searches, kani sila, this will be very valuable, no, so that we can avoid cases just like cases between Apple and Samsung, no? So for big businesses, they do that, especially when we go for technology commercialization. Okay, so let's try to discuss briefly each one, because I have, I think, 20 minutes more. So pre-application search. So the patent application process, time-consuming and expensive. So if you go for a law firm, ang entire process, ang entire cycle from patent search to patent drafting, it would cost us around 100,000 pesos, no, for patent application. So there are law office nga who are already established, they ask for higher fees, no, to around 150,000 for one patent application, no. So expensive siya, no. So it's not this is also the value of the ITSO, no, in terms of providing this, because it narrows down the cost, no, or reduces the cost of the application, no? So basically the technical expert do the work, and then of course ang basis sana ang sweldo na mo as designated, no, nga technical expert mo na sweldo equivalent, no, for the payment, no? So sa university when we file for patent application. Okay. The inventor should conduct a pre-application search before filing a patent application. We need to do this so that we will know when we go for our invention, like at the stage nga idea pa siya, no? So usually I think this is common for us, no, many of us, like inventors, not only I think not specifically in CSU, no, but this refers to in many countries, because this note is coming from WIPO based on their observation, based on their findings. Inventors might be like immediately perform novelty search, not to find out if their invention is new. The past magod during this phase, medyo dili pa kayo klaro ang idea, no. For example, for you guys, nag-create pa mo kanang proposal basta thesis ninyo. So dili pa kayo klaro gyud ang unsay gusto ninyo i-develop nga product, no. So vague pa kayo inyong idea, no. So the pre-application search would somehow help you, no, help you kind of develop your idea, so that it will help you establish unsa gyud gusto ninyong i-develop nga product, no. So you look for information from printed publications, public knowledge, or if there is already patents already issued in the country, in the Philippines or at a foreign country, that may potentially relate to the idea that you're working on, no. So ingana siya sa pre-application search. So it will help you guide, no, like for example, frame your mind, no, in terms of what might be your invention will be, no. So ingana siya, no. So especially you guys nga mag-thesis pod, no, OJT mo ron, but then during the fourth year ninyo senior, mag-work naman sa yung thesis, no. So the pre-application search will help you in a way, no. So ingana siya, so to build your idea. Okay. Yes, Kenneth mentioned parang review of related literature. That's correct. So this thing is like will help you guide, no, in terms of developing really, so that you will know exactly. Of course, katotong you mentioned earlier, nga okay, I know already what are the existing technology out there because I'm doing the pre-application search. So I'm pretty confident about my invention now because those in the prior art, murag wala nila na cover nga problema. No, they were not able to solve this problem. So that would give you confidence in terms of proposing a technology or product nga has not been solved. No, the problem has not been solved. No? So introduce this kind of product. So murag nga na siya. No? So that's why we ask our ECE students, kana ang mga ECE, ilang review of related literature which Kenneth mentioned. Karon no, kung makita nimo na mga thesis sa mga bata sa ECE, ang ilahang kuan na review is more on patent, no, mga both combination of patent and patent databases, patent documents, and kaning journal articles, no? So or mga conference proceedings, no? So a combination. So because of the ECE students are also more into development, so mas karon na appreciate nila nga mas nindot tong patent documents kay makita nila dito nga mo ni ang i-highlight nga inventive aspect sa technology. So mo na ilang magamit dayon no nga kani akong proposal is different to what is existing out there before. No kay mag-present man sila, di ba, sa ilang thesis proposal. Kamo guys, you will be presenting your thesis proposal. Nya pangutanon man mo sa panel, what is different sa inyo ang gihimo karon sa katong gihimo ni kuan, no? So yan na siya. Or katong na-invent na, no? So you guys, when you propose, you justify it, no? So yung na siya. So you have to justify it. And this pre-application search will be very, very useful. No, so may ngumog sa China nahimo na ni siya, sa Malaysia nahimo na ni siya, pero they missed out on something, no? They missed out on something. So wala pa gid nila na solve. So that's where the justification comes in. That's why you're proposing this kind of thesis, no, or invention. Okay? So justification. So murag naman si Ma'am Mader eh. So inguna na ang atong conversation later on, no, during sa thesis. So after the pass, the inventor for the next steps in search process, state of the art, and the novelty search after getting ample information on the available publications and public knowledge. So this is where we come in. So the state of the art search is a kind of search that is also referred as the informative search. State of the art search are especially useful for technology development or technology transfer purposes. So usually we use that. So it is performed to determine the general state of the art, to find the solutions to a given technical problem as background information for R&D, and in order to know what patent publications already exist in the field of technology or research. So I think you can follow these things, no? Further reasons for undertaking this kind of search could be the wish to identify alternative technologies to solve a problem. So if you wish to evaluate a specific technology which is being offered for licensing or which is, so this is part of the commercialization, no? So for which is being considered or for acquisition, so kung palito na technology, i-acquire technology, so this type of search will give us valuable information, no? Using the state-of-the-art search. Next, I have 10 minutes left, so I'll just speed on this, no? So speed up on the remaining types of patent search. So novelty search. So this is really the part we determine if the idea is new or not, no, and is novel, novel or not. No, so this is the part where most of the examiners in the IPO field work on to determine indeed you have novelty or not. So or you guys will need to know if your invention nga gi-design na ninyo karon is novel or not. So medyo extensive na siya, no, in a way. So the aim is to discover relevant prior art or if a patent has already been granted through the database, of course. No? So we need to look into the database for us to understand and get the information. Okay. So now, when we look for novelty search, we are now specific. Okay, ang kuan mo gud ani ginagamit sa mga examiner, we are now very specific in terms of the claims, no? So we are specific in terms of the claims because we will compare our claims, no, to the other patent documents if they are novel or not, no? So yan na siya, no? So Ang claims part na to ani. So i-compare na to sa mga pre-application search o state-of-the-art search. So novelty search will look for, in reference to the claims, we look for the documents nga which are existing na, so that we can determine that indeed this set of claims later on that we will define will be novel, no? Will be novel. So meaning to say, nagid siya kabaguhan compared to the prior art. So an early novelty patent search can be discouraging because you will immediately look that there is similar to this and that. So basic identity ideas are hard to describe, particularly on paper. In addition, a person who drafts a patent application to describe the claim. So basically, we want to look into this. Na? So usually, this is done when the technology is already, the sad part is the technology is already, well, like finished. No? So for you guys, to make sure that when we propose the thesis proposal later on, so it would be good na you do this so that you will kind of know na in advance na indeed ang inyong gina-propose po is novel siya, no? So not existing. Okay? So di na ako ni-cite ng example. The idea is that later on you look into the documents and then so prior art, no? Kita na ninyo yung prior art. You look into the prior art and then you introduce these technical features of your invention to make you say for you na kanisya novel ni, no, nga product, because you have this technical feature na that is absent from the other patent documents, no? And then this is the claim nga inyong i-focus nga this is my claim, no? This is technical feature that I introduced in the machine. This is the inventive part that I claim, which is novel and inventive, and I kind of confident now that if I apply for patent application in the future after this product is developed, then I have the confidence that indeed this machine that I am trying to introduce will have or will meet the novelty and inventive requirement. Okay? So, kana siya. Okay, so the outcome of novelty search will help you with the next decision of whether to stop or go forward spending time and money developing the invention. So, matutong gisulti ganiya, no, nga we need to avoid duplication. In a sense, kanisa mo na siya mo reflect ato because kung pareho lang mo kanang mga technical features nga gi-introduce sa machine, so kung kita yung mga machines related to cacao, no, so kung pareho lang siya, then it's difficult to kind of pass this novelty requirements, no, when we apply later on. Okay, so we need to really look for, like, that's the goal, no, of the what we need to do in terms of doing the novelty search, so that you will not be wasting money and time in developing that same product, having the same technical features to those existing machines out there already in the patent library or patent databases. So the decision is more difficult if one or several pertinent patent documents are found, no, because mura kag kanang kuan ba, no, ay sus maka-discourage siya, no, meaning to say uy, maka-discourage siya kay tungod kay you see documents nga related to that, no. So the thing is that the mind is always telling us that we need to look into what the technical features pag lang inyong ma-introduce so that the machine can get over the novelty requirements, no? So or the novelty part of the katong mga documents existing, no, sa patent documents or patent databases. So we go beyond, no, what are available kana lang gyud atong naon permanente sa thesis proposal nga maka-define mo og technical features or machine kung wala pa gyud kana similar nga machine nga wala pa gyud similar sa outside world. Wala pa yun. So it's safe to say, no, you can do that. Okay, patentability and validity search. Now, in order for an invention to be patentable, it is not enough that it's just simply new. So it also satisfies another criteria, which is patentability. So this is the part where we talk about the inventive step. No, katong i-discuss na to last time. No, so what makes an invention inventive, because there is this technical feature that is what we discussed earlier or last time is different, and then it improves the performance of machines, the efficiency of the machines, so things like that. No? So we discussed and covered this last time. No? So it's this going back to the discussion last week. So we mentioned novelty, tapos inventive. These are the two major things that we always look for and that we will be able to satisfy so that we'll be granted with the patent. So patentability or novelty, tapos patentability or inventive step. No? So if we lose the inventive step, so nalang tayo novelty because it's new, then mahulog ang application for utility model. Okay. So, of course, IPOFIL is encouraging us nga dapat inventive siya para patentable siya or ma-issue gid ang patent sa ato. So that is where they really want us to go into that direction. No? Okay. Novelty and patentability searches are mainly carried out by industrial property offices in the course of the examination of the patent application. Okay. Any questions? Na ba tayo nagtingog? Questions from the floor? Okay, wala. So I have 2 minutes left. So novelty and patentability, so sila good, no? Because they will look for the patent application kung novel and inventive siya. And then if it is not novel, not patentable, or inventive, then they'll advise you na sorry, you will not proceed. Murag ka nang, it's not inventive, ano? No? So they'll provide you a report, no? And that's where the decision comes in. Either now to maingon sila dili novel, dili inventive, so ang patent technical expert drafter karon will look for kanang justification, no, why it's novel or not, and if not, so we will not carry out further, no, because they already like how many times you argue with the examiner as the applicant, so they will say it's not indeed novel, and that's the problem. So we will not pursue the application. So that's why at the very start pa lang yan sa thesis proposal, we should be able and confident, no, this is that our thesis proposal, no, so the development part of that is indeed would meet the requirements, novelty and patentability. No, so kana siya. So sa una man good, maghimo ra mo gud ta diretso, di ba? Even as faculty members, maghimo na diretso, no? Nya wala pa ta nag prior art search, wala ta nag novelty search, patentability search, no? So dito naman to makitaan, ay nadi ni si kapariha, nahuman na nimo, nahuman na ka sa project. Uy, nadi kapariha. Then sayang lang, no? So di pud ka mo file of application, no? So sayang lang kumbaga. Okay. Name search, no? So sayo na ni, I'll ask for more time. It's 9:30. Sayo na ni siya, no, because you want to know, okay, unsa ni mga applications, patent applications sa University of the Philippines. So you make use, when you are now in the patent database, you just type University of the Philippines, and in the database they will show you documents, no, relating to the patent application of for example of the UP. You want to understand unsa dito mga patent applications ng Steve Jobs, so you can also find, no, sa mga ingon ana, so you can do that. So if you look, you go for technology activity search, so you identify companies, no, so unsa din na sila mga unsa din ang Apple, no, so for example ang Apple, no, so you want to understand mo to ang technology trend, no, so unsa din ang roadmap sa Apple in terms of their technology activity, no, so asa din sila padulong, no, so sa mobile phones unsa din lang direction, no, so you can kind of look into that in the patent database. Okay. So I mentioned about infringement search because you want to make sure that if you go to a particular business field, like for example, if you go to a market, so you have an patent already in the Philippines now, and then you want to commercialize your product to other territories or countries, and then you will be like you go to Singapore, Malaysia, or US. So you're looking at using this so that you'll know that kanay mo hang product nga you want to sell in that particular country, wala kayong mabanggaan, no? So, if you sell that, so for example, na patent existing dito sa US and then you've been selling your product in the US and then nakakommit di kag infringement kay na existing nga product dito, and so they would really, katong nga company which is existing in the US, they will really go after you, no? Because kind of you're selling the same product, no? So more nga na. So sometimes good na magay mga nga na ba conflicting, no? The company will justify that you're infringing the product, you infringe the product, no? So nga na siya. So meaning to say more siya freedom to operate, no? Because meaning to say you're free to kind of do business in other countries because wala kay na banggaan nga patent, no? Nga patent. All right, legal state of search. So this type of investigation is made to obtain information on the validity of a patent or published patent application on a given date under the applicable patent registration of more countries. So remember that patent is like exclusive for 20 years. No? So if pwede na siya, no? By the way, this is the thing that is allowed. No? So if the patent is already expired in the US, like umana 20 years nga patent protection, tanawon mo ang legality niya, no? So pag tanaw mo sa patent database, oy, expired na ang patent. So that's the time that, okay, I have a similar product here. I think I have a product here that I want to sell there. So pwede siya, no? So meaning to say, pwede siya gamiton, no? So pwede na ka magbaligya the same product. Now, last time we mentioned about itong example na to is itong map, no, rotating map. So it has its own patent, but I'm not sure if there is a patent in the Philippines. If there's no patent protection in the Philippines, so pwede po niyo natanawon, no, sa patent database sa IPOFIL, this is not protected in the Philippines. So that means when you do that search, pwede rin na ako ni kopyahon ng rotating map, no, i-mass produce na ko dire and I can freely, so pareho na sa 7 infringement of legal state, because you can freely sell that in the Philippines without any parang baggage, no, nga kadlukan later on nga oy kasuhan man siguro kaani, no. So but you've determined that the state of that patent is not applied here in the Philippines, so you can freely copy it, no. So we covered that also in the last discussion. So meaning to say you're free to commercialize the product that was not covered for patent protection here in the Philippines. All right. So that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. Nako extra 5 minutes. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have questions, I'll be happy to entertain them kung na. If not, so I just wish everything is clear for you guys. All right. Questions? So before we move to the next speaker, no, Jan?
Hello, everyone. Ayan, all right. Ang dami ng information na ibinigay ni Sir Jeff. First speaker pa lang yan. Marami na, ha? Kaya, dadagdagan na natin yan. Anyway, sa mga who have just joined, welcome to our webinar on patent search. And may mga participants tayo from the Caraga Food Innovation Center and from the Department of Chemistry. Welcome sa ating webinar for today. So may sa mga hindi pa nakapag-fill up ng attendance, may sisend ako sa inyo na link sa chat box. Paki-fill in na lang po. Ayan. For our next talk to be the patent search tools and strategies. Our speaker is from a professor from the chemistry department of this university and one of the technical experts of DTTLO, ITSO. Please help me welcome Professor Kenneth L. Ciudad to talk on the patent search tools. Sir Ken.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Ken.
Good morning.
Morning, Ken. I'll just assign you, no, so that you can share. I'll stop share first.
First of all, I would like to congratulate Sir Jeff for that very comprehensive talk on the fundamental information about patent search. Thank you, sir. That was very comprehensive.
Oh, wow.
In fact, Yeah, I was reminded of a lot of things, no? And hopefully our participants here today were able also to capture and get motivated about the importance of patent search. So thank you so much for that, Sir Jeff. Am I now allowed to
Thank you,
share?
Ken. Thank you, Ken. Salamat, Ken. You're now allowed to share. Can you try?
Okay. Ayun.
Correct. Ayun.
Okay.
Take it away, Ken.
All right. So as you can see, I'm assigned to give a talk on patent search tools and strategy. So having been motivated now from the first talk, we'll now go a little bit more specific. It's about the techniques on how do we go about these things, how to make use of patent search, no, and how to really go about this. So basically, my talk would revolve around. Yeah. By the way, the slides here are mostly lifted from the presentation of Engineer Wilfredo from the IPO field and also other reference sources, but still from IPO field. So but anyway, they are a main source as well as the WIPO. So basically, my talk once again would deal about this uh, basic process flow on how do we conduct patent search. So for example, we need to first we need to be able to understand the invention really, because most of the time when we have our technology with us, when we develop something, um, we fail to recognize the inventive part of the technology. What we see is the importance it can give, it can provide to the society, to the community. But as have been discussed earlier on, that what we can only claim in the for protection are the things that are output of our innovation, output of our creativity. So we cannot claim things that have been already owned by others. No? We can only claim the intellectual property that we provide in the technology that we have. So this is the very important part. No? So we need to describe the invention. Then these two here, the consider relevant keywords and synonyms as well as determination of patent classification. For me, this can be interchanged actually, this steps here. Then you proceed to patent searching. So I will not elaborate more on the importance, no, on why do we need to do patent search, because I'm really happy actually, about the first talk. No, I'm really confident that it has been covered. So you conduct the patent search, you retrieve documents, which also the parts of the documents were also uh, presented. So very nice. And then you can review the documents itself, no, and compare it to your own technology or even your proposed technology or your imagined technology. Then so that's when, because of the information given there, which I will also give an example, you will be able to somehow review and check on your own um, creativity or your imagination, no? To check if what's is it the same, is it really the same, or there are features that are unique to you. So yun yung novel uh, and inventiveness. Then you can also check other references that have been used by the document that you found, the patent document that you found, because maybe the the document you found there could be different from you, a little bit different, but the references that he cited could hit, no, could hit and you would find them very similar to you. So ayun, so that's why you need to check also the references used by the document you found. Aside from that, you can also gain a lot of information about how to improve your own technology. If you know the existing technologies, and we call them prior arts. So to guide us in going through the process, let's focus on one patent search case. So at least it could guide us. No. By the way, in my talk for today, I will not be focusing more on the patent classification because the next speaker will cover that. So my talk will focus more on the use of keywords. So there are techniques no, on how we can maximize our research using keywords. So let's focus first on this technology. For example, a dog's water bowl with a heating element. So that's the technology that you are thinking. Okay. And you want to search for other documents. So this is only your idea muna, di ba? You have a dog's water bowl with a heating element. So your purpose is, for example, especially though this is not really applicable for us in the Philippines, no, we need a heating element for a dog bowl because especially this is more applicable in other countries where there is winter, where of course they have to keep the food soft, no, freeze man ang food kung winter. So that's why you have to incorporate a heating element in the dog's bowl or whatever. So ayun. So this is the idea that you have, and you want to look to search for other or all other technologies, existing technologies that could somehow affect your proposed idea, diba? So ayun. First, we need to understand what does it do. So essential function of the invention. So step 1 na tayo, no? So what does it do? Essential function of invention. The purpose of the invention. For example, in our case, it's a bowl that holds and heats water for dogs. For example, like that, no? So the water will not get frozen during winter. So that's why you need a heating element in that case. So what's the end result? So essential effect of the product resulting from the invention. So the liquid is kept above freezing using a heating element. So that's why that's your idea. You have to incorporate a heating element. So what is it made of? So what's the physical structure of the invention? So here in your case, you were thinking of using aluminum or stainless steel with electric heating somewhere, electric heating element, and of course there's an electric cord. Then what is it really used for, or what are other possible use or intended use of the invention? So it could also be used for other liquids, soft food, other pets, and animals too. So aside from dogs, other pets, this can also be useful for other pets, and perhaps no even could not be even limited to just for pets, for takabalo. But at least in your case, what you aim here, your focus is just really for your dog, your animal, your pet rather. So step 2 is to determine initial classification. Again, as I've mentioned, this can be interchanged from step 2 and 3, between 2 and 3. So in this case, we go first to the classification. So by the way, I'm not sure if this was covered, but just to give you a glimpse, because again, this will be elaborated more by the second speaker, the third speaker rather. So here, because of the abundance, there are millions of technology already existing around the world. Because, diba, when you do patent search, you are searching not just from where you are, from the state where you are in, but rather you are really searching for all technologies existing in the entire world. So there must be truly a lot of technologies existing, so they have to classify them. They have to classify just to give us a system ba to make the patent search, to make the arrangement, to put order to the existing numbers of technology around. So yun, so that's the purpose of classification. So here you can see that there are 8 sections, main sections, and these are further comprised with classes. Then from subclasses, they are further categorized with subclasses, then groups. So just to give you a picture of how is this presented. So for example, the main 8 sections that they have identified so are here. So from section A to section H. So they categorize these are the main categories, no, or sections. You have human necessities, performing operations, chemistry, metallurgy, textiles, paper, fixed constructions, mechanical engineering, physics, electricity. So in our case, in our uh, in our example, so which section would it belong? So that's the first thing that you have to look into, when you want to classify or you want to identify or determine the classification of our technology. So you'll see in the system and in the databases later on that will be also um, presented to you. So you'll see here uh, under A, human necessities, there is A01K, which deals with animals or animal husbandry. So somehow you have an idea, okay, since my technology is about pets, pet bowl, pit bowl, so the bowl of the pet, so okay, this could be under this one. So you have A, so human necessities here, section A. So A01K, so very specific. So in the system classification system, this is what you can see actually, no? You have here a series of symbols under a certain section. In this case, we are looking at A01B. So you can see in A01B in the red font there, it's about soil working in agriculture. So anyway, so that just to give you a picture, no, that this is how it looks like. And on the right side of it, there are titles, different titles. So this will be further explained by the next speaker. So in our case, so we can find under A01K 5/00. So there are titles here, feeding devices for stock or game, or takes precedence for poultry. So again, it's about poultry, could be related. But anyway, there we can always find for more specific titles that relates to our specific technology. So in 501, there's feed throws. Ayun. So you can see only that the term is different. Aside from using bowl, it uses the word throws. But, or I don't know how do you pronounce this, throws or traps. But you see, basically it's the same object or feed pails. So it's about for feeding container, in other words. So leaking stone holder, salt blocks, automatic devices. So most likely the 501, no 5-slash 01 is the more specific classification that relates to our technology. But take note of other classifications that may be deemed useful for your research. For example, we consider under the classification under human necessities, which is the A. Then we go to animal husbandry, so A01K. Then we found that 5/01. But other sections may also have related titles or classifications to your technology. For example, for F24, so this deals about stoves or ranges with additional provisions of heating water. And we have mentioned, diba, in our purpose, that the purpose really of incorporating the heating element is that we want to keep um, um, the liquid warm, even regardless of the weather, of the climate. So somehow related. So again, this has the same fundamental utility as that of the invention. So a dog's water bowl with a heating element, so the water will not freeze outdoors. So that's a considerable another section. Okay, so another thing that we discovered is keywords. No, as you can see in the classification title, they use the draw, and what we were using a while ago was just bold. So keywords can play an important role because you might be searching, no, and you find out there's no existing technology as I have been thinking. But actually, it's just that in your search, you were using a different term. You were using a different keyword. So that's how important it is that you consider all other possible synonyms of the keywords that you have chosen. So example, in our first idea here in this case, we are just thinking of dogs, but the technology that you're thinking can also be applicable for other animals actually. So that's why there's poultry even, no? Patong 500. And you see here, it can be applicable to cat, pet, bird, or animal. So in more general terms, maybe the a term that will capture or will cover most of the animals that can utilize the technology is kaning pet and animal, di ba? Basically, kana siya. Now, for bowl, it could be dish, receptacle, cylinder, it could be straw. Yun. Wala na consider kay dire. And for heat, so another keyword. So by the way, these are the four keywords na you were thinking as important. So for heat, it could be just warm, melt, temperature, frozen or freeze, etc. So those are some examples, possible keywords. And for heating element, so it could be electricity, the use of the cord, battery, element, whatever. Ayun. So those are different keywords and synonyms. So, so which search tool should we use? Because we have already talked about the use of keywords and synonyms and classification. So let's talk about their disadvantage and advantage. Just a quick review. So for text searching, so or the keywords, you'll be using uh, any keywords that will be available or that is indicated in the patent documents. So yun. For classification naman, so you'll be using this one, IPC. By the way, this will be elaborated again by the next speaker. So these are the two search tools that you can employ, no, in the patent search. So for text searching, the advantage is very ease of use because you know your technology well, and all you have to do is just to identify the keywords, um, the terms that will really pinpoint that will really bring you to the description of your technology. So that's the advantage, no? But however, um, you might encounter some problems in using the correct synonyms, no? And also in other countries they might be using different languages. So that's why you're using pale or draw, but in other languages they might be using different language. You have a common language use, and that's the term they use in their patent document. So that could be a problem also, and some inconsistent terminology. So for classification man, the advantage is that more complete results than text searching because, diba, as I have mentioned, all of the documents are assigned to a classification. So you are confident that if you are able to find the classification that will relate solely to your technology, then you are confident that whatever document, whatever document that you found bearing the classification that you want to use will bear the same content, or the feature of the technology. So you're confident. That gives you confidence, no? Sure ka nga kung sa tayo mong gipangita, the feature that you're looking for will be found also in the documents that bears the same classification. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage is the complex structure of classifications and requires study of classification rules because there are actually different classifications. Though fortunately, nowadays, the different databases they have on the data system, they have somehow made an agreement to unify their classification system. So uh, I hope also that the next speaker will be able to discuss that. So these are the information where the keywords can be found, no, or that you can find in the patent information. So we have your patent document reference numbers and dates, applicants, or inventors' names, keywords, patent classification. So these things can be found in the patent information. So another application number, publication number, priority number. So it's good if you know these things. No? But if not, ayun, you'll start really from the scratch. You have to identify your keywords and identify your own classification number. So at least if you could at least get one very similar to what you're thinking or the technology that you want to apply for, then you can somehow look at their these things here. So you'll be able to somehow get the information about related technology. So these things also, no? And this may bear the keywords or the terms that you are looking for. Now let's, as I have mentioned, there are advantage and disadvantages also in using the tool for keywords, because again, it could be that when you search for a certain word, other documents might have just mentioned that the same word, but the technology they are referring to is actually different from what you are searching for, or different from your own technology, but they just use the same keywords. So once you search that, it will all appear. So that's one of the disadvantages, no? So because um, all patent documents that bear the keywords that you have searched will appear in your search, in your patent search. So that gives you or closest patent documents, closest prior art to your own technology. Am I still audible, guys? Hello? I had to check
Yes,
because,
sir, Ken.
okay, thank you. Because it says my internet is unstable. Anyway, so by definition, keywords are words or phrases which describe essential technical features of the invention, and they can be searched in the title, abstract descriptions, or claims. So, yun, depending on your choice. But basically, of course, we want to search, from whichever part of the patent document, that it can be found. So, yun, national title, abstract description of claims. Then search for synonyms. So don't forget. So these are good things to note, that you have to consider synonyms, word variations. Like for example, in the US, they use the word plow, but for Great Britain, they use plow also, but with different spelling. No, so you have to consider all of these things, because again, when you search, you are limited. You cannot find the exact document that you want to look for. So only English documents received with English keywords. So yun. But again, one advantages of the recent development among the databases is that they have now their auto translation, or I mean, they have translated the non-English documents to English. So at least, no, at least nowadays, they have improved, and you'll be able to search for them as well. So this is the first method where we can narrow down our keyword search. So at least, and it's not necessarily narrow down, but somehow we can maximize really the search. So first is the truncation, or words stemming. Uses wildcard characters such as asterisk or question mark to substitute for any other character or characters when added next to a string. So for example, you want the word attach. So attach asterisk mean all other possible term or other possible syllables next to attach. So like attached, or no, past tense, attaching, attachment, attachable. So at least when you use that attach asterisk, truncation asterisk, so all about relating to that word, with the next letters will be found also in your search. So that's one thing. At least you capture everything, all possible. So again, if you put it preceding to the word, the root word attach, so it will now give you even the reattach or the re-dash attach. So in both sides, you have reattaching or whatever. So that's one thing. Another, for the question mark, this is very good, especially for the two standards, like specialization. In the US, they use Z, but in the UK, they use S. So at least when you replace the part here, the letter Z, as we know here in the Philippines, so it will now capture both spelling. So that's good thing, di ba? So di na ka maglisod. So yun, commercialization, so the same. So again, first one is truncation or stemming. The next one is phrase searching using quotation mark. So again, when you use quotation mark or any other Boolean operators, so this will give you parang assurance that it will look for the phrase, the entire phrase. For example, you put with in between the two quotation marks, the electrical conductor. So it will only search patent documents bearing the phrase electrical conductor. So they always go side by side. Laser beam, for example, others. So another Boolean operators is used to join words or concepts with defined true or false operators such as and or not. So let's elaborate this more on this. So for examples, if you have this red part here in the circle, so this pertains to all things that are cars, for example, all things that are cars. On the other side, all things that are planes. So it only talks about relating to planes and relating to parts. Somewhere in the middle, there's a uh, there's a combination, no, or there's a mixture of the two matters. So in this case, this will now relate to anything that are both cars and planes. Something yan, ano, parang sa mathematics lang sets. So when you use, sorry, and for this, so it only talks about a combination of the two because you use the word and, a Boolean operator and. Now, if you use the operator or, so there's no more distinction because or man siya. So everything. So it could be all about just car, all about just planes, or combination. So or kasi. So that's one thing that you need to consider. So the result here is that car or a plane or searches are inclusive and return many results. So mas marami kang makikita because you capture everything. So when you only use the word and, so you're only referring to the combination of the two. So pag si car lang, it's not included kasi in your search you use car and plane. So it will only search everything about car and plane. So things that are both cars and planes and searches are exclusive and will narrow your results, especially if, yeah, what you are really looking for is about car and plane. So at least exclusive siya, imo makita. You will not find the documents that only talks about cars or talks only about airplanes. So at least you're very specific. So not naman, like example, car, not airplane. So because let's say there's an established combination of a certain technology, like just for example, it's very established that they always go hand in hand together. So sometimes if you want to just focus on one side, so car, not airplane in this case. So it will only give you the set that only talks about cars and exclude airplane. So it becomes exclusive. So it narrows again your search. Another is the near operator. So documents having both the words car and airplane within a certain number of words of each other. Because sometimes na, for example, no, it could be that you mention about car or plane, but they could be just some examples in the patent documents of some technology that they mention car in the title, though the airplane is not really necessary, but it's just part of their example in their discussion. So that can be found also. But if you use the near operator, at least like for example, just few words apart from each other because they should belong in one sentence. So that's your notion. So at least if you use the near operator, that you can narrow down your search. Uh, that bears that what you have in mind. So useful when searching variations on phrases containing two terms. So for example, airplane with engine of car. So car with parts of an airplane. So they're just they belong to one sentence. So they're near with each other. So another is the use of parentheses. So we call this nesting to clarify order search queries. So for example, fill and steel or alloy. So in this case, you put in the parentheses steel or alloy. So meaning it talks about inclusively about either a pure steel or an alloy. But these two are now all related to the wheel because you use the and Boolean operator. So ayun, something like that. So it's quite different if you do not use the parentheses. So not wheel and steel or alloy. So parang walang relationship si alloy and steel, di ba? Because walang parentheses eh. So what you are doing here is only the not wheel and steel are and to each other, but alloy could be somewhere else. So it's different. So that's why nesting or using a parenthesis is also very useful. So again, this is the summary of the different Boolean operators, wildcard, phrase searching, that can be used for the various databases. These are databases actually, here the patent scope, SPASnet, USPTO, IPDL, and the field path search. So those will be elaborated by the next speaker. So again, in our case, so the key example here, the classification that we found is 01K500 or 01, diba? Kung nakita kanina. And for keywords, instead of dog, we use animal or pet, or there are many terms also that can be used instead of bowl or dish. So meron kang straw, meron kang pail, ever a lot. And for heating, so there's a lot of terms also, or synonyms that you can use. So okay, so after that, you have to decide also. Actually, you don't have to decide, but you can make use all of the patent databases
Wala, Sir Ken.
the feature, the interface is very different, but very organized. No, syempre, may bayad eh. So of course, what we can readily access are the free databases, which are, enough, sufficient enough. So which field to search? Again, these are the things that you can check on, which, or like, especially for your keywords, which part of the patent document where you want to find those keywords that you are looking for. So if I were you, I would search everywhere, no? But of course, again, if it's in strategy kasi yan eh. So for me, the title, abstract claims, and full text are good enough, no? A good enough locations or places where I can expect that my keywords will be found. Kasi if I include everything, parang it will search also everywhere. So that will give me a wide range of results, which are not necessary. And of course, you have your classifications. So to give you an examples here, using SPASnet. So this is how the advanced search for SPASnet looks like. So let's say you use the keyword IPC. You only use the keyword. No, not the keyword, rather the classification. So you search Nemo, and somehow this is a long time ago example. So it gives you a result of 7,639 results. And of course, you cannot go through each of these documents just to look at the content, the feature, if it swacks to your technology. So mabuyong kag tanawan eh. So that's why you need other search tools or strategy where you can narrow down your searching. So in this case, if you use the A01K5-00, so it gives you 7,000. And maybe this is only true at that time, 7,000. Basin karon nga time, it could be more, more than 10,000. So again, that's why you need to make use of keywords. You can combine, you can search bearing both the keywords and the classification. So in this example, uses the keywords animal or pet. So you see the Boolean operator used here, and as well as the parenthesis, the nesting. So iya ang combine ang the same synonyms, animal or pet together, and bowl or dish. Actually, you can use all other synonyms, and heat. So yun, it could be heating, heater, diba? So everything that is with words or letters after the root word heat. So and combined with its classification. So what do we get? We have now just 3 results. So that's how you narrow your searching, and you are confident that what you are looking for our documents, or the document that you can be found rather, are based on the correct keywords that you want to find, and as well as the IPC. So that's how important, no, that you combine the two. So let's just see, if you click on the weatherproof pet feeder. So you can now easily go through each document because maliit na lang eh. It's very narrow. In this case, you have only 3. So to open, for example, this is how it looks like. No, so you can, just take a quick take a look of the document that you found if it's really relevant to your technology, your own technology. So here it's a weatherproof pet feeder. Okay, so you can see there's a document, there's a picture. The picture might be different, but you see, you have to look at the parts if they are really the same with what you're thinking of. So here, for example, this invention relates in general to animal feeders, and in particular to an enclosed pet feeder for outdoor use to feed and water small animals. Okay, so have to decide, is it related to what you are thinking, to your own technology, something like that. So meron ding detailed description of the invention. So you see, and this even gives you information and even ideas, no? Nga, uy, tama, no? I have to put an enclosure or covering. So I can put the, diba? So you have now combined technologies even, no? By just reviewing the patent documents that they found. So it gives you an idea. Okay, tama, no? Why not I put up incorporate a cover. So di ba nakakuha na yung idea. So that's how important it is. So again, this has been mentioned, the claim. So this again parang sets the boundary of the boundary of protection of the patent owner. So in this case, so this is its claim. So you see it's about a weatherproof pet feeder that provide feed and water for small animals. So limited ang yagay, no? Specific for small animals lang. So it has a feeder base, support legs. So and there's more, no? Ako lang yung gikat. So you see the different parts. So you can easily compare, and you can also get an idea on how to organize also your paper. Like, okay, ganun di ay mga parts, ilay-ilay nako. And for each part, there's a description. For example, a feather base, it could be that he is not claiming this to be unique for his technology, but rather after this, the wherein part, so na diya ang iya ang unique sa iya. This is the content of his claim that is not present in all other prior arts or technologies existing. So that's how, anyway, again, this is a language as mentioned by Sir Jeffrey a while ago. So step 7, so you can also look at the cited references of the prior art. So yun, makita niyo na siya. And all other IPC, related IPC. So again, it's very important, no? Again, no? Just like I mentioned a while ago, when you found a related document and you look at the content, and you will find nga, uy, na ay other classification that is related to the classification I found. So in this case, it's not anymore A01 K5-00, but na siya nakita nga 7-02. Oh, so then you will check on this if it also can cover your proposed technology. So some pointers, anyway, this is just like a summary, important things to remember. So if you can find appropriate classification, then you can use keyword first. So again, di ba, pwedeng ko interchangeable ang step 2 and 3. So in our case, we go first to classification. And if you find it difficult to find for classification, then you can use keywords. Then from keywords, you will obtain some related documents. Then from that related documents, you look for the IPC. So at least now you can now combine later on. So you can search again, combining the keywords that you have and the IPC that describes or that covers your technology. So keyword searches should supplement the classification searches to be as thorough as possible. So it narrows down your search. So you can use all the techniques I have mentioned. So note the date and time of search. So by the way, you have to take a record of what you are doing in the patent search, because again, as I have mentioned, these databases are continually growing, no? Because a lot of applications are being included there, presented there every day. So it adds up every day. So if you search now, that's the number of results you get. But if you search tomorrow, there could be another a different number. So that's why you need to take note of the date and time of search, record the classifications used, list the databases used, jot down patents and application numbers reviewed. So by the way, all of this can be contained in a patent search report. So so this is how this is the basic. These are the basic patent search steps. Once again, that you can do in conducting patent search. So I think that ends my talk, and I don't know what's the method of asking. Do they have to ask me right now, or there's a time allotted for that? So anyhow, it's up to the MC. So thank you for listening.
All right. Any questions, mga participants from faculty and
Dapat
students?
ako.
Naabay question for Sir Ken or nasabtan tanan siguro, no? If you have questions, just
Yeah, I think Rob is down. Oh no.
Are our participants still there?
yeah.
Natutulog na.
Masinangaon pa, sir. Anyway,
We can have
salamat
a
Sir
break,
Ken
Jan.
sa sir.
Maybe we can have a 5-minute break if they wish
Oh,
to
yeah.
get coffee or was that man enough? Bladder break makaron if they were following us. Ha?
Mahilig lang sila kape, sir.
Sige. Siguro dyan we can have 5-minute break and then we proceed at 10:30.
Okay, sir. So 5-minute break, coffee break.
Wala ako nilapas, sir, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nagmilagro ka, Ken.
I was even speaking very slowly.
Sige. Sige, let's have a 5-minute break and yeah. So, mga pizza or whatever we want to do.
Nakalbaan na rin ko nga, wala kulay na samtan.
Sige lang, makita mo na niya pag workshop. Sige.
Kasi hindi pa nila ma-imagine, sir.
Kinala pa siya i-demonstrate sa akin. So we're laying the ground basically. All right, coffee break if you want to go for a break, and then we'll have the third speaker dyan, no?
Yes, sir.
Sige. Great job, Ken. Kape.
Gabi.
So sa wala pa naka-attendance, palihog ko fill in. Ako i-send again sa chat box. Time check dinhi sa ako ay it's 10:31 a.m. So napa ba ang tanan? Participants, students, faculty na apat na tanan? If yes, please send me a thumbs up. All right, thumbs up, raise your hand. Oh, naa pa. Okay, naa pa di ay. So I hope na mo'y daghan na learn sa duha nato ka speakers, and I hope clear and nasabtan ang tanan. If not, pwede ra sad ta mag-send og questions sa atong chat box or any clarifications na gusto ninyo mahibaloan para matubag sa atong mga speakers. Okay, so for our next speaker, he will be discussing on patent classification, international patent classification, and patent databases. He is one of the faculty from the Department of Electronics and Communications Engineering, and one of the technical experts from the TTLO ITSO. Please help me welcome Engineer Lawrence P. Grana. A virtual applause, please. Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Hello.
Morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Sir Jeff, Sir Ken. So,
Good morning, Rans.
ako na po.
Morning, everything.
Ako na po yung share sa akong slides. So, present na ako ha. Share. So, I hope makita na, no? And so, again, good morning. So, I hope you are all doing good. So, for this topic, I will discuss to you regarding patent classification and patent databases. I will be sharing with you my knowledge on what are these classification codes and databases, and on how to use them in doing your patent search. My references, by the way, are based also from the workshop and seminars we attended in IPOPIL. This will be more technical, and you may take note para magamit ninyo during sa inyong workshop. So if you have also questions, so just free to chat lang sa atong chat box. Okay, let's start. Okay. So let me start with this one. So in libraries, syempre, daghan mga books. So these books are arranged properly so that everyone could find book without hassle. So a librarian assigns call numbers, and the arrangement may be based on subjects. So if you can recall, katong tigadtuan pa bitaw tag library, kay karon murag halos internet naman gud, di ba? So katong sa library, the arrangements of books in the library is what is known to be the Dewey Decimal System, right? So the same also to the patent databases. So the patent documents are arranged such that when we can easily retrieve patent documents that are relevant to our invention. So that's the purpose of our patent search. So we will find the relevant documents para atong himuog reference. So part sa assessment sa atong own technology. So the IPOPIL, for example, they will assign the classification code to the invention during the process of patent application. So the arrangement of patents are according to the area of technology. So by the way, natay tawag nga ko sa itong wala pa nakabalo, natay gitawag nga IPOPIL, which is the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. So it is a government office nga sila ang naga-manage related to intellectual property. So in case nga namo ipang-file nga intellectual property like invention, copyright, trademark, so diri mo come sa IPOPIL. Okay? So sila pod ang nag-assign anang mga IPC on the invention kung asa siya nga classification na belong. So in library, there is the Dewey Decimal System. While for the patent databases, so naa siya what is called the International Patent Classification System or the IPC. So kung makadungog man na IPC, mao na siya ang classification system in patent documents. So as you can see on the table on the right, there is the column for the section and the title. So under the section column, so na-introduce naman ni Sir Ken kanina, no? But let me reiterate na lang para mas mapamiliarize ninyo. So this there are letters from A to H. That are mga section na sila. And the title or the technology area is assigned with letters. So ang A is human necessities, B is performing operations, transporting, C chemistry, metallurgy, D for textiles, paper, E for fixed constructions, F for mechanical engineering, lighting, heating, weapons, blasting, G for physics, and H for electricity. So for the so mga BS ECE or BS AB students, so mostly related ang inyong technology sa machine. So asa kaha na bilong ani nga section. So dito makasulti, no, kay a certain technology is dili lang siya ingon nga nabilong to a particular section yun. There are other nga pwede siya under sa human necessities or there is a fixed construction, although isa ra siya ka machine. So na mga instances ngayon. So it would be better if you can also familiarize to the section codes of these technology areas. But these classification codes are just the general part. Okay, within each of these sections, so napagi na-assigned ani under A, under B, C to H. Within each of these sections, na classes, subclasses, group, and subgroup. So, katong ipakita ni Sir Ken ganina, no? But I will discuss further in the next slide. But before that, so there are different classification codes system available. So there is an international classification system, and there is also a regional or local classifications. So we have the International Patent Classification. This is managed by the World Intellectual Property Organization. So WIPO. So makadungog na murag I think branch ni siya sa UN nga kuan. So WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. So napo US Patent Classification, so a regional office in United States ang nag-manage kining US Patent Classification, managed by USPTO or the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Another classification system is the European classification, which is managed by the EPO or the European Patent Office. So regional Japan. So napoy cooperative patent classification or the CPC. This is governed by a partnership of the two patent office, the USPTO and the EPO. So US European partnership ini siya nga classification. And then another is napoday file index, FI, and F terms. This is managed by the JPO or the Japan Patent Office. So these are the common classification. But on our discussion for today, we will only focus on IPC and the CPC. And these two are widely used by all patent offices. So, okay, for the purpose of the IPC, so daghan siya at least na siya 3 ka purpose basically. So as I mentioned earlier, the IPC is a search tool for the retrieval of patent documents by patent offices and patent information user. An instrument for the arrangement of patent documents as basis for selective dissemination of information to all users of patent information, for investigating the state of the art in giving fields of technology, for preparation of industrial property statistics, which in turn permit the assessment of technological development in various areas. So again, IPC is a very useful tool in conducting patent search. With this, you can easily identify the patent documents relevant to your invention. This will also reduce your searching time because this will filter out patent documents that are irrelevant. So you don't have to read those irrelevant documents. Kay na-filter out na using the classification or the IPC. So for the CPC or the Cooperative Patent Classification, so this is just an extension of the IPC. So meaning there is an additional technology area added as compared to the IPC. So kung makakuan mo, sometimes maka-mention of IPC or CPC, so halos paras-paras lang na sila, except sa CPC is more specific or more defined ang CPC. The CPC is jointly managed by the EPO and the USPTO. Okay. Another difference is that CPC is more detailed than the IPC, meaning there is more specific technologies areas added in the classification. As you can see in this table, in terms of the number of sections, IPC has 8 sections. So ipakita po ni Sir Ken ganyan no. So na siya 8 sections from A to H, while the CPC has 9 sections. Dungagan lang siya og Y. So the CPC has an additional section which is the general tagging of new technological developments, general tagging of cross-sectional technologies spanning over several sections of the IPC. Technical subjects covered by former USPC, cross-reference art, collections, and digests. So this section is assigned to alphabet Y. So mao lang na ilang kuan difference. And then okay, so again, as you can see here, the classification system is a hierarchical system of language independent symbols for the classification of patents and utility models according to the different areas of technology to which they pertain. So like I said, IPC is composed of a section. Then within each section is the class, then subclass, group, then subgroup. So for example, looking at this one example, the A01B33/00. So this is a classification code. So ang section is A. Then ang class is 01. Ang subclass is B. Ang group is 33. Ang subgroup is 00. So that's basically ang iyang kuano, ang iyang kumbaga syntax niya, ang format sa classification IPC. The more you include the lower class level, the more specific the technology area. So from the section which is more general, going to the lower level, going to the subgroup level, so from general to specific. Ano siya. So another example here is, so nakay IPCA, which is the human necessities. If you go in the lower level pagyod or deep level, so you nana po is A01, which is ang description niya is agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, hunting, trapping, fishing. And then under package sa A01 is A01H. So kini sila tanan mga IPC na niya, every level mga IPC na sila. But in every level na ma-add niya letter or numbers. So for A01H, new plants or processes for obtaining them, plant reproduction by tissue culture techniques. So sa under pagid aning A01H napay 1/00, which is the processes for modifying genotypes. So under aning level is 1/06, processes for producing mutations like treatment with chemicals or with radiation. So, and then under pagid ni 106 is 1/08, methods or apparatus for producing changes in chromosome number. So from general to specific. Okay, next, another example pod. So same pan lang, no? So human necessities. I want you to focus here. A01H 1/06. So na siya duha ka subgroup na under. So ang A01H 106 is a process for producing mutations. So under ana is ang 1/08 o 1/09. So the same level lang ni sila duha. So if you do patent search onya kining A01H 1/06 ang imong gigamit, pasabot ana no cover pod niya ang kining duha ka classification. Pero kung kining classification ang imong gigamit, dili niya ni mo cover ning isa kay level naman sila duha kibali on the same level. If you use this one, so paras lang, dili pod niya ma-cover. So you have also to decide kung if you think this IPC is specific na bagid ni or general ba kaayo para sa imong pag-patent search. Next is another example. So for this one, this is the bibliographic part of the patent document. So naka-present po example ni Sir ganina Sir Jeff, no? Bibliographic part yang i-discuss ang mga parts kung sa inadari. So dili kayo maklaro, no, but you can find here the title, applicant, inventor, and other information about the invention as mentioned by Sir Jeff. One data included here is the classification code. Okay. In this example, the classification code is presented in INID code 51. So by the way, if you see this number 51, a number enclosed with brackets, that is the internationally agreed numbers for the identification of data or the INID. So, but anyway, the classification code for the patent document is G01N33/02. So if you can check a patent document, you can extract the classification code and use it in searching more patent documents. So another example here, so showing the bibliographic page. So for this one, there are more multiple classification codes. it is possible that a patent document can be classified by multiple classification codes since there are inventions that could be related to more than one specific technology area. So, katong gisulti kanina no nga, ang isa ka machine is dili lang siya specific to a certain code, CPC or IPC. So, pwede po siya from other sections. So, for this one, although nabilong lang siya sa the same section of B, the same class, the same subclass, the same group. Naglahi-lahi lang siya sa subgroup 50, 78, and 75. Okay. So, mao ni ang principle of hierarchy. So, pakita bang po ni Sir Ken kanina. So, hierarchy of the classification system. So this time we will look at the website siguro sa WIPO kung saan siya makita. So ako ay sa WIPO, mo direct sa website sa WIPO. Dili pod ako memorize ang Di pod ako memorize ang website sa WIPO, but you can try to key in na lang WIPO IPC. I-Google search lang nata. And then this one. Click this one. So remember lang ninyo, WIPO IPC, i-Google ninyo. Then International Patent Classifications, WIPO. Alright. Please click this one. And this will direct you to the website of the WIPO. So, diretso na siya sa classification niya section. So, as you can see, na-log ko sa WIPO. So, na siya mga details. So, our focus here is the IPC. So, na siya introduce sa IPC. So, this time, click this, access the International Patent Classification. So, once you click this will direct you to other page. This one is called the page for the IPC publication. IPC publication is siyang page. So there reflect ang you can see here the sections from A to H with the corresponding title, human necessities to electricity. So napon siya yung mga tools diri sa gilid. So it would be better if you can explore this one also. So napoy tab for scheme, RCL, compilation, catchword search. So our purpose here is I will show you the hierarchy of the classification system. So let's check the human necessity. So pag check just click the A or this one, the plus button. So let's try. So once you click it, so nadayon mo appear, mo drop down ang iyang from section, mo drop down ang mga classes. 01, 21, 22, 23, and so on and so forth. So that is the A. Same also with the B. So na siya yung mga description dere na ay 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. So again, mga IPC na ni sila ha. Although general lang siyang IPC. Which is in terms of searching, broad kayo ang coverage niya. The same also with the section C, chemistry, metallurgy. Okay, so 901. So numbers. Numbers ang assigned sa classes. So let's look deeper. For example, this one. Mas related sa mechanical. Okay, machine tools. Let's look this one, B23. If you click deeper, if you click this one, drop down ang list nga mo drop down, mo appear, and that is the lower level of B23, which is the subclasses. B23 under is subclasses na tayo. So B23B, C, D, F, G, H. So with the corresponding title, turning, borrowing, milling, planning, etc. etc. So mana siya ang subclasses na level. So this time, mo further check paginta. Let's say for example, ini B23D. So okay. B23D. So under ni B23D is naay group. Naay group which is the 1/00. Tas under pagid ni group is the subgroup which is 02, 04, 06, 08, and then these are the specific description or title. So muna siya ang from section to subgroup, ang hierarchy niya. So also notice this one. So makakita mo ko ano sa lowest level which is the subgroup. So makita ninyo ang dots na kini, 'di ba subgroup man sila. Nya nakita mo dots unsa may pasabot aning dots. Pasabot aning dots within this subgroup nakuan pagid na siya, murag na categorize pagid siya into lower ubos pagid nga mga level. Like this one dot and then followed by 2 dots. Pasabot ana these 2 dots is under by this 1 dot. Bali si 102 under niya si 104. The same with 106. These 2 dots, these 2 IPC which are 2 dots, so under siya ni 1 dot which is the 1/02. The same also with this one, under ni 108 is 1110. And under ni 1110 is ang 3 dots nga 1/12, 1/14. So the same also with the other. So that's how you interpret sa hierarchy sa classification. Okay, nabay nagoan. Wala question, no? So sabta naman siguro. So feel to ask lang ha. Okay ra i-interrupt ko ninyo para di na kaya na to kung balikon lang kung layo-layo na ta para ma-answer na yan. Okay. Okay. So going back, okay naman itong hierarchy ha sa classification. Search lang ninyo tong kuan IPC WIPO and then ato din mo sa WIPO website. Okay. So what to remember? Examiners classify parents at any level of the hierarchy in the main group or the subgroup. So the patent examiners are the one who assigns the classification of the patent document during the patent application. So by the way, kining patent examiners, so mo ni sila ang mga tao dira sa IPOPIL. Sila ang nag-assess sa kuan sa katong criteria bitang novelty, inventive step, industrial applicability. So kining mga patent examiners sila ang nag-assess ana dito sa IPOPIL. So under sila sa IPOPIL. So specifically sila pod ang nag-assign sa classification sa patent document once you file it. So it is not just assigned by someone. So it is the patent examiner who tags the IPC corresponding to that patent. The design of the classification provides for classifying the technical subject which the invention is essentially concerned. So the patent documents are classified according to the function application, or residual place. So in function or the function-oriented basis, the patent documents are classified according to the intrinsic nature or function of the process, product, or apparatus independent of its field of application. So, kita no? So gi-classify siya according sa iyang function or intrinsic nature. So, never mind although kung asa siya nga field of application, one way of classifying is according sa iyang function regardless of its application. Maginana bitaw. So that's why naisa ka invention nga pwede siya daghay IPC or CPC. So on the basis of application-oriented, patents are classified according to the particular use or application of a process, product, or apparatus. So pwede po sa application. And for the residual place, patents are considered for classification if and only if no other place of the IPC provides for the subject matter under consideration. Patent documents may have more than one classification assigned. So like what I showed you earlier. So a certain patent could be related to multiple classification code. So if you do your patent search, do not limit on just one IPC or CPC. It would be possible that relevant documents are available on another place in the IPC. So try to explore further. Do not stick only on one IPC or CPC. This is generally the process flow to define a field of search. So kini siya more general ni siya as compared sa tong gi-discuss ni Sir Ken ganina. More general ni siya nga pagkandak sa patent search. Summary kibali. So first, you have to establish clearly the technical subject of the search. So you have to identify, ilailahon gid nimo ang imong subject matter, kung asa ka mag-focus on sa imong technology. So that's the first step. If it is a machine, a process, a composition, or a product, and you should also identify the purpose or technical function or structural function. So you have to list down. So much better if you list down, you put it in a piece of paper para you have the list. And next, identify the words or technical terms which cover broadly or specifically the field of technology. So for this one, you must make a list of your keywords defining the subject matter. So also include the synonyms like atong gi-mention ni Sir Kenneth, iyang discuss synonyms or words related. So ang tip lang na ko ani like sa practice namo sa office sa pag-patent search, i-list down ninyo ang mga keywords and synonyms para mahanay ang pag-search, organize. Anya dili pod magbalik-balik bitaw. So that's the second step. So the last step is determine the proper place or the technical subject in the IPC or CPC. The first step and the second step is interchangeable. So pwede ka mag-start sa IPC or CPC or pwede po ka mag-start sa keyword. So in this part, the part in the IPC or CPC searching, this part, you should identify what particular IPC or CPC you are going to use. So I will discuss here further. So na-discuss man to ni Sir Ken kanina na siya ay sample sa IPC o CPC. But I will give a further explanation kung yun sa to siya pag-come up. Ana. I know same sa akong pagkuhan po sa una. Itong training po na po. Diretsohan mi bunda ka ng IPC CPC. Loading kayo. So this time I will share kung unsaon pag find aning IPC and CPC. And please recall that IPC and CPC is useful in combination to your keywords so that you can filter out the search results and find the most relevant document for your technology. So I will present the ways to determine how to determine the IPC or CPC of the subject matter of the invention. So there are generally three ways. First is scan the IPC or CPC scheme. This way of determining the IPC or CPC is manual method. You will check manually on the hierarchy of IPC or CPC where the technology classified. So I will show you the first method on how you can identify your IPC or CPC. So going back sa atong sa WIPO. This one. So that's ang tanong kay usahay loading po ning sa WIPO. Balik na ito. Gusto ko mabalik dito sa kanjud plaster niyang initial setup. So the first method is scan the IPC or CPC scheme. So this is the scheme, no? So we are here in IPC publication. So we are working here in scheme. So the first way to determine your IPC or CPC is you have to manually check kung asa siya nabilong. So let's say natay technology. So for example, natay cacao fermentation chamber. So cacao bean fermentation chamber. So ayan na. So asa ka siya nabilong? You have to decide, no? Naba siya sa human necessities, performing operations, chemistry, textile, physics, construction, mechanical, engineering, physics, electricity. So X siya human necessities, murag pwede, performing operations and transporting, performing operations. So fermentation man, so possible food, chemistry and metallurgy. So chamber man atong gihisgutan, cacao fermentation chamber. So X ang chemistry, textile X, physics construction X, mechanical engineering possible, I don't know, but kay ang chamber is I think nag-use siya og mechanical components. Physics X, electricity is X. So either A, B, or F. So you have to check here in A, B, or F. So let's try first the A. So under na po sa A is the classes. So you have to check agriculture. So possible. Pwede siya mosulod sa A01, A021. I don't know. So inana lang ang concept. So di lang na ko proceed. So basically mao na siya ang concept on the first way on how you could determine the IPC. Scanning of the IPC or CPC scheme. So imo siyang i-manual nga i-check sa hierarchy kung asa siya na fall under. So medyo siya, no, medyo tedious siya buhaton kay manual man yang imong pag-check. So, moto siya. Moto siya sa scan the IPC for CPC scheme. So another way to identify the IPC or CPC is by text searching in the IPC publication or the CPC browser. So balik ta sa kuan. Balik ta sa IPC publication. Katong kuan method 2 which is the text search in the IPC publication, ang tool nga imong gamiton is kining nga search tab. This one. You have to use this one para you should have your keywords ani. So if you click this one, this will appear, this interface. So as you can see na ay dako nga search box, search button, reset. And then sa right side na outro po dang yang itsura no. Ganina kay naniman search sa under sa scheme. Pagabot nimo sa search tab, dahil na yang kuan tools. Sa tools, pwede ka mag-advanced search. Under sa advanced search na ang terms, cross-reference, stats, and IPC cut or the IPC automatic text. I don't di ko familiar sa sino pero kini daw siya is kuan na siya murag analytics ni siya murag nagamit ni siya og AI sa pag-search based sa akong nabasa. So mo ni ang tools under sa advanced search. So under sa search nga kuan. So let's kuan gamiton nato to atong example which is the cacao fermentation chamber. So dapat na mo na-prepare aning keywords no nga mag-define sa inyong kuan sa inyong technology. Pero gamiton nato tong kuan gitudlo ni Sir Ken ganina nga truncation. Kining sa fermentation pwede nato na himo og ferment asterisk. So meaning ang ferment asterisk mo-cover niya ang fermentation, fermenting, ferments, fermentable na ba yung word niya? Basta ang root word niya is ferment. So muna siyang truncation. Once you input the keywords, so search na ka. Search. Okay, so muna yung initial kuan. Muna ang mga IPC, initial IPC nga iyang na search. So this is a list, na siya a list, a set of 10 IPCs at 10 IPCs. This is the first list out of 9. So you can also check the second set, the third set, and ana. So you can also do the pod, the advanced search. Just click on this one, checkbox. So na activate na ang terms, cross-reference stats, and IPC cut. So you have to click again the search button. So this one, similar lang ni kanina kay terms man. So kining terms is murag kadto ning ordinary keywords and search. Dire ka sa check sa cross-reference if naa. So wala. So gamit ka sa stats. So na siya itulo ka suggestion. A23G which is kuan na siya taman, subclass ra siya taman, section, class, subclass ra siya taman. So more general kayo ang yang kuan gihatag na result. So na plus, so na pwede pa nimo makita kung unsa ang specific gyud nga IPC nga yang provide. So pwede A23G 1/02 or 1/06. Pwede po ang 85/00 and pwede pa ang 2100, 2102. So kining sa kuan sa stats tuod as you can see na ito no. So the note here is ang stats identifies IPC places most frequently referenced in the patent scope database when search for particular items. So mura siya nagamit siya og statistics kay kung unsa ka frequent ang pag-reference sa kuan sa aning mga keywords. So mao nang sa stats. So you have to decide kung relevant applicable ba ni nga mga IPC. So let's check naman pod sa IPC cut. IPC cut. So na siya prediction. So AI no predictions neural network. Ang iyang predictions is A23L33/00, A61K 36/185, A23G1/2. So you have to check kung kuan ba siya, kung na poll ba diri ang imong invention or technology. So i-check nimo kada terms, kada IPC. For example, let's check this one kung kuan ba. So kung para mabalaan nimo is you just have to click the IPC code. For this one, sige kini sa baba. Ato ning i-click and this will direct you to the scheme na tab. Onya dapat mo diretso ni siya largo dito sa kuan. Dito sa IPC nga imong i-click. Just wait nga kuano automatic man ni siya nga mo kuan direct that one. So volatile lang kay usahay medyo mo load pa ang kuan wipo. Mo load pa ang wipo nga kining naka font nga kuan green mo ni siya ang i-click nimo ganina. A61K 36/108 which is Magnoliopsida dicotyledons. So I think dili gid ni siya kuano. Dili gid ni siya mao ang classification. So you have to return to your search. So balik lang ka dire sa search tab. Balik ka dire, anya. Balik na pud ka tong kuan. Sa tong imong i-click ganina. So let's try another no. A23L3300. Diretso na din siya, di ba? Pero kini siya is modifying nutritive quality of foods, dietetic product preparation or treatment thereof. Murag tighapon ni siya. So anyway, inanayang kuan style. Balik lang na pud ka sa search, then check na pud nimo ang uban IPC, tanaw ka diri sa stats, tanaw ka diri sa terms, hantod sa makita nimo. So this is way more kuan, mas convenient ni siya compared to kuan katong unang method nga manual. Kay dere na siya yung mga suggestions nga suggested nga mga IPC. Okay. Wala question. Chat lang kung na. So going back sa akong slides. So another method is called the alternative method. So this another way of finding the IPC or CPC is the which is the alternative method. Do keyword search in databases using the technical terms and check the most frequently appearing classification symbols assigned to retrieve documents and consider for inclusion in the field of search. Bali, in this method, so you are going to do a preliminary search using your search keywords, using your keywords. So in this method, you select your prepared database and input the keywords. And then you check an initial patent document. So mangita mo ang patent document that is possibly relevant to your technology. So mag-initial search mo ani. And check the classification assigned. Okay, akong ipakita no. Balik ta sa Firefox. Let's try first you have to select your patent database kung unsa imong prepared. So wala pa man ako ma-discuss ang mga databases no. pero na-introduce naman ni Sir Ken kanina. So one of the patent database, the databases, I will introduce that one after these slides. So we will use patents, Google Patents. Just type patents.google.com. So money ang website sa Google Patents. So I think daganay familiar anay kay this is very common. Patents.google.com. So as you can see here, mo na itong prepared nga database. So na ang logo, na ang search box, search button, then options. You have to do preliminary search. Okay. So balik ta tong example nga cacao ferment, gamit ta itong truncation. Let's assume nga ang atong invention is a method for siguro a process for fermentation. And then once you nabutang na yung keywords, then search. As you can see, mo na niya ang yung interface, mo na niya ang appear once you click the search button. So na siya mo na niya ang gitawag na search string. Mao na ni ang number of results. So nay mga options dir sa gilid. So nay mga results diriya. So nay cacao fermented product, enhancement of cocoa quality, method of fermentation. Kini. So ang atong invention kay kuan man process of fermentation. So most probably kini siya nga document is relevant. But our purpose here for now is to find the IPC or CPC. So ato ni siyang i-check and then atong i-extract ang kung unsay IPC or CPC nga na-assign sa iya. Once you click this one, ayan. So mao na po niya ang interface. Once you click one of the results. So makita nimo ang title, abstract, classification. So pwede po din ninyo basahon. And this one is the patent number registration, patent registration number. It is under the PCTY po. So pwede po ninyo siya ma-download, PDF, find for your app. So ano yung details. So our intention here is the classification naman, no? So this one. So you take note of this one, A23G102. So na details na rin, no? Human necessities, food, stuff, etc. So you have to take note of this one. Copy lang ninyo. Or you can use any pwede niyo sulat sa papel or sa Excel or any or notepad. Take note na ninyo. So this time, as mentioned datong sa alternative method, so ang imong tanawon as ang frequently nga ang frequently appearing nga IPC or CPC. So meaning you have to find also other other patent documents nga relevant. Kung i-check nimo nga basig lahi po ang IPC or CPC sa uban. So mas probably kung nindot ang imong keyword, magbundol na ang ilang mga IPC. So, kini man tatong i-click kanina, no? So, kini is same lang man sila kay same ba ni? Lahi na siya. So, check on this one, then extract the IPC or CPC. So, you will be directed to this page. And the title, abstract, classification, and this one. So copy this one, copy, and take note ninyo. So parehas na, no? Parehas na yun ay. So man siya, A23G1. So assuming mo na siya ang frequently assuming mo na niya ang frequently appearing IPC or CPC. So you can add this one on your on your doing your patent search. Pwede na ninyo gamiton kay naman siya gibali ang frequently na nag-kuha niya IPC office. Okay. So that is the alternative. That is the alternative method. The last one. So na may questions? Wala. Chat lang. So proceed na ta ha sa proceed na ta sa kuana. Dire na ta sa patent databases. So this was already introduced by Sir Ken and Sir Jeff po din yan, pero ako lang siyang i-further discuss. So natay Google Patents. Ako nang gi-present kanina. Napod tayo Spasnet by European Patent Office, USPTO, US, WIPO, FTO. Ang gining sa WIPO is the patent scope. The FTO is the pre-patent online. The Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines patent search. Our own patent database. Derwent Innovation. So kining the first 5, first 6 is from Google to Ipopil, mga pre-databases ni sila. While the Derwent Innovation is the need siya of subscription. Pasabot, commercial database ni siya. So dapat para makasubscribe ka nakay payment nga ihatag kay subscription man siya, similar with the other software bitaw. Ano siya. So ato sang i-check ning sa Google Patents, isa-isahon ni nato isa-isahon ni nato tan-aw, and let's see what are the interfaces of these different databases. Okay. Let's check the patents.google.com. So again, this one, so mga interface, ako nang discuss kanina. So by the way, assuming na namoy IPC so para ako pong i-demonstrate kung saan pag-search, pag-demonstrate. So I suggest nga gamiton ninyo ang advanced search. If you click the advanced search, kini nga tool, so mo-appear ni siya nga interface. So ang nindot man gud aning advanced search is pwede nimo ma-segregate ang imong mga keywords. Halimbawa kada to example, if you type a keyword here, mag-add ni siya og additional search box. Let's say datong kakao. I-separate nato ang keywords. So nana po ni appear nga search box. Then the pod permit asterisk. And then the chamber. So ang nakanindot ani is you don't need to actually di na nimo input ang katong mga boolean operators kay na automatic na siya or kini sila by search box naka-and ni sila. If you pwede ka mo add og synonym dire, for the synonym of kakao pwede siya pwede siya kokwa, or pwede po siya add na po siya synonym, pwede po siya ang yang scientific name, Theobroma. Theobroma is the scientific name of kakao, Theobroma kakao. So mana ang yang so mana ang mga related words for kakao. So input nimo the ferment dali na sa chamber. There is a chamber. Pwede ang container. Ang synonym pwede po ang vessel. Ana. Then once you enter. Pwede po ninyo to, assuming na namoy IPC or CPC, pwede ninyo siya i-input dire. Kini. Kadto inyong nakitaan nga IPC. I-treat lang ninyo siya nga additional keyword ang IPC or CPC. Inana lang ang iyang pagkuan purpose. Another keyword. And then enter. So nakita ninyo no na ay 466 ka results. Nya please take note of this search string. Kini siya i-take note na ninyo. Take note of that. Kay magamit na ninyo sa inyong search report para in times nga mag search patent search na pod mi relate kamo progress mag patent search na pod mo related ani pwede ra ninyong ma-review nga na search man din ako gamit ni nga keywords. So pwede po ninyo i-search otro kay possible man nga ikan ining 466 na results like katong giingon ni Sir Ken basin ugma mahimo na ni 467 ma-increase or mas dako pa. Ana siya. So take note po daning results. Pila ka hits kay nani siya sa inyong search report.
Sir,
Hello? Yes, ma'am.
naabay kaning kuan ani sir nga kibali pag search sa isa ka website para ning sa Google search.
Okay.
Content, naabay part nga naa sa Google tapos wala dito sa previous website.
Yeah. Posible na siya no. Kay ang kuan manggod ang mga databases ining Google Patents, Patnet, SPTO. Paano sila? Lahi-lahi ni sila og kuan algorithm kumbaga sa pag-search. So posible na nga dari pag-search nimo sa Google, anya pag-search nimo sa Patnet, lahi-lahi lang result. Posible na siya. So that's why nga much better nga you can exploit the as many patent databases as you can. Di lang mo mag-stick sa isa ka database. Okay, posible na.
Pareha sa kuan sir kani ganing website na need pag subscription kani so dili man mo dali unsa na ma kuan ma open. So naapoy part nga naa saya nga wala sa uban unsaon man na namo.
Kanang kuan namanggi times po din nga naas diri sa subscription nga kuan database pero wala dira sa kuan sa mga free database. Pero I think murag dili pod na ingon niya kuan dili pod ko kaingon ana nga wala gyud. Kay once na explore na nimo ning kuan different databases which is actually ang mga patent documents ana common lagi na sila tanan. Ang pagkuan lang ang pag-search lang ang naglahi-lahi. If you kuan na search na gid nimo na-exploit na nimo mga free databases, dako ang chance nga makita gid nimo ang relevant document. Ang advantage lang aning kuan kining subscription type nga database is mas kuan siya, mas efficient ang iyang searching. Dili na kay ka maghago. Unlike aning free databases, so you need to visit each of these databases. So mo ning advantage ni Derwent Innovation. Pwede nimo siya murag di po siya ingon nga mag-stick lang pod ka ning Derwent no, pero dako og probability nga ang imong search is dire makita na largo sa Darwin Innovation tungod sa iyang kuan na yung mga features niya nga nindot ang iyang searching. Ang advancement ata niya, isa sa advancement niya is nagamit siya analytics, AI, artificial intelligence sa pag-search. So mo nang nakapamahal or nakapakuan kang Darwin Innovation compared to the pre-database. Okay, klaro ba si kuan? Si Regine Ambray? Okay, so padayon ko no.
Sir.
Okay. So, asa na to? Kana. So, take note mo aning results, take note mo aning search string. Okay. So, some of you kay nanay idea no kay na-discuss ng pudto ni sa kuan atong previous webinar sa ABA. So, medyo masteral na ninyo eh. So, mao na sa Google Patents no. Okay, so proceed na ko sa next kuan database. This time I will discuss na po sa SPASnet. Click this one, SPASnet. So, ang website sa SPASnet is worldwide.spasnet.com. So, European Patent Database. Managed by European Patent Office. As you can see here, mo yung kuan interface, may logo sa SPASnet, European language. Siya search box, search button, na siya option sa my SPASnet, help, classification search. Pwede po ka mag-classification search dere. But this time, kay limited lang man atong time. So, focus lang mo ito kung ihatag na. Results, advanced search. Pwede po ka mag-advanced search. So, let's try this one. Input na to atong keywords sa cacao, ferment, asterisk, chamber. Cacao, ferment, asterisk, chamber. So if you try to key in the keywords here in the search box, then click search button. So mo appear na dahil ang results. So under the results tab, so na siya 115 1,537 results. Naani siya. So in my opinion, ako lang ning observation, nindot ang searching sa SPASnet as compared to Google Patents. Okay, as you can see, compared kanina, no, daghan kay itong result kanina. Kini kay kini siya. Fermentation chamber method. Also, you can add here the kuan pod itong IPC or CPC. I-add lang ninyo dere para makakuha ng results. So ako lang po ipakita to no kung unsay diferensya kung magbutang kag IPC o walay CPC. So kini siya nga results is 466 results man di ba? With CPC or IPC. What if tanggalon nato ni? Pila yang results. So na siya 89,000 ka results. So broad kayo siya. Unlike ganina nga kung mag-add tag IPC or CPC, nigamay siya to 466. So inana ka importante ang IPC or CPC para mo gamay ang inyong search results o gamay na lang po ang inyong basahon. So going back sa SPASnet, so mo na yung results. And then you can also you can also do the advanced search. This one. If you toggle this switch, wala siya switch. Toggle this one. So mura siya mao siya interface sa Google Patents no. So na siya ang every keyword nimo is naka-separate. So pwede nimo dungagan og og synonyms. Type lang ka og or kay or man synonyms or kokwa or broma, scientific name. So mana siya. each of these keywords, kining mga naka-box is naka-and ni siya, this one. Pwede po ninyo or not. So, depende kung sa inyong style. But this time, iyan na to. Chamber or vessel. Vessel. Okay. So, mana siya mga keywords. Or you can also include the IPC or CPC. Just click this one, plus field, then mugawas na din siya. So, imo siyang i-count sa itong IPC yan. Ang IPC is this one. Assuming mo ni ha, dili siya yung ipaan. Gamiton lang nato for percentage para masabtan. So, muna siya ang IPC. Okay, then search. By the way, kuan pa day, set pa day nimo ning mga text fields. So, kini IPC man, so you have to select IPC or CPC. This one, classification. Then, IPC or CPC. Kini lang, ayaw ninyo kay medyo mabahin siya. Kini lang IPC or CPC. And then, this one is, actually, pwede na siya, all text fields or name. Actually, pwede na siya, pero pwede po nimo siya specific. Pwede po nimo mag-focus ka sa title, abstract, or names. Bali, pangitao nimo ang keyword nga chamber or vessel sa portion nga title, sa abstract, or names. Yan na. Sa permanent, pwede po ka guan. Pwede po sa title, abstract, description, claims. Na, pwede po dates, pwede po numbers. So, ikaw na yung mag-set, ana. So, muna siya ang advanced search sa kuan, sa SPASnet. So, kining group na option is, pwede siya kuan. Pwede po siya kumbaga mura kang mag-add o subgroup bitaw. Murag kung imo pa nang isuwat, mura siya naka-parenthesis pag yun. Kung i-click na nimo, muna siya. Gi-imo siyang kuan pag enclose into group pag yun. Mag-add siya. I-or nimo, or and, or not. Add field. Kung wala ko na po nimo, just click X. So, explore lang. Dali rin ninyo makuha. And just practice. So, muna siya sa SPASnet. So, going back sa slides. So, ako sa ipakita ning sa WIPO. Ano yan ning uban ha? Kining sa WIPO. You click this one, you will be directed to this website. So, muna siya sa wipo.in patent scope. Kung di ninyo ma-memorize ang website, pwede ra po sa yung i-google WIPO patent scope. Search niyo sa Google ay mawata ni. Then click this one. WIPO patent scope. Directed na dahil madari. So, mana ni siya ang interface sa patent scope under sa WIPO. Patent scope ang tawag. So, na search box. This, kini siya under niya sa simple search. No? Na search box, search button. Sa fields, kung asa ka particular mo search, pwede ka any field, full text, for classification. Ano siya. So, pwede po ka mag-advanced search. There is under sa kining tab nga search na drop down there na simple, advanced search, field combination, cross-lingual expansion, chemical compounds. So, dali lang ta mag-play around sa simple and advanced search. If you try to click advanced search, so, muna siya ang sa advanced search. Pwede po dahil dali sa field combination. Field combination is muna siya. So, halos maumaurag ko, maumaura o concept sa SPASnet and Google Patents. So, input lang ka sa keywords. or select kung unsa ka nga kuan, asa ka nga field nimo search, sa title ba or sa abstract, sa description, ana lang. And then unsa nga operator mong gamiton, and or, and then ana. So pwede po nimo i-search particular sa kuan kung unsa nga patent office. So dito ba ka sa European, pwede dito ba ka sa Japan, pwede ba ka sa kuan, pero for this activity all ta dapat kay worldwide man atong kuan search, global man. May language ana. So pwede pod ka daghan may ano search field, pwede pod ka mag-add og search field. So madugangan siya diri, nadungagan lang na siya under field combination. So explore this one, this three sa inyong pag-patent search. Okay, then once you input your keywords, just click search button. Okay, sa patent scope na. And then let's proceed to, there is a USPTO. USPTO is managed by United States government. Oops, ay mali. Ay, sorry ha, wala na akong ma-edit ang link. Mali na siya nga link. Search na lang na to, USPTO. USPTO, United States Patent Trademark Office. If you Google search that one, so dari lang talargo sa kuan. Sige. So good ta na ilang homepage. If you click this one, so na ilang homepage. So na ilang logo. So na yung mga kandere. News, public events, remarks, pwede niyo basahon. Related sa COVID. So for the kuan, patent search, so i-point lang ninyo yung mouse, then mo drop down na din siya. Then you go to search for patents. Okay. Pwede po ka sa trademark kung trademark ng mga application. Ipc policy, learning and resources. So nani sila yung mga free nga kuan dire, no? Nani sila yung mga free nga videos na pwede nimo magamit. So search for patents atong purpose. Click that one, and you will be directed to this page. So kini siya, patents may be searched using the following resources. So daghan siya resources, no? Pwede ka mamili lang dire kung asa ka. So for example, this one, click this one. So explore lang na ninyo, global doser, litigation information retrieval, public search. So just like this one. Pag click ninyo ito, kininapod niya. Nara din siya sa ubos na portion dahil. Kini siya is, ang mga links ani kay nara din sa ubos. So for example, this one, ang link is nara. You can do quick search, you can do advanced search. So let's check the advanced search. Mas nindot na yung advanced search kay ma-plaster ni mo imong pag-search ko. So ako lang ipakita, no, kung ang iyang kuan. So na siya query. So pwede ninyo ang style ito daning sa kuan. Medyo di kayo gumagamit anong USPTO, no. Ang style ani is you have to kuan gyud permeate your search string. Then input here, then search dayon. And then nana din kay result. So you have to permeate first the search string. So gamit tong i-discuss kanina ni Sir Ken nga truncation, Boolean operator, and or bitaw kadto. So you have to permeate first yung parenthesis, then input nimo dire. Then makuha na din yung mga search. Then napod siya yung mga kuan, no, guides kung unsa nga kuan, mga codes ang imong gamiton. So just explore this one. So medyo alanganin na sa oras kung ako pa ni kuan. Explore lang yun. Dali ra kay nimo yung mga kuha. Example, this keyword. Yan. May mga guides. So going back, kini na pong sa free patents online, kini siya is medyo kuan siya. Sabi kini siya. Daghan kini siya ads, pero magamit po niya siya free patents online. Na siya ads ni Ping Langston, 300 billion. So, pwede ka mag-input rin og search string nimo. Pwede po ka mag-expert search or quick search. Tanaw na to ang expert search. Napagid siya add. So, dara, na siya ang free patents online. So, pwede na ninyo i-explore. Because mamaora siya ko sa USPTO. So, another is the government-owned niya kuan patent database. IPOPIL. There is IPOPIL. Okay. Kung may pangutana, chat lang. So, there is IPOPIL na ikuan. So, mo na yung, this is the website of the IPOPIL. Here's the logo. Home, about, services, programs, update, references, contacts. Nice na yung mga sanitary, mga services nila and mga advisory. So, the patent search is under siya sa services. And then point your mouse to patent. Then under patent is patent search. So, click this one. So, ang IPOPIL is kuan siya. Ang database niya is mainly focused on kuan lang sa mga application niya naa sa Philippines. Kanang mga patent application niya gipiled through their office. So maning nakakuan po sa IPOPIL, dili worldwide ang iyang coverage. So if specifically search for patent occupants na nakapile lang diri sa Philippines, but actually you can also search nga anang mga documents nga gikan sa Philippines, ma-search pud na nimo sa line database. Pero kining sa patent search, ang imo lang yung ma-search diri is patent application nga na-filed sa ilang office, the IPOPIL. So pwede nimo i-key in ang filing number kung kabalo mo, filing date, application number, publication date, or the technology. So pwede pod mo maka-add og fields. Pwede po maka-add og fields diri. Just select lang ninyo kung unsa inyong i-add diri. Halimbawa, gusto ninyo i-add ang applicant. Ang applicant is the owner of the patent applicant. While the inventor is the inventor. Not necessarily nga inventor ka, ikaw ang owner. Nay instances nga although ikaw ang inventor, dili ikaw ang tag-iya. Kaya kanang sa mga empleyado bitaw, employer-employee relationship na related. For example, applicant, i-search nato ang Caraga State University. So sa atong mga patent filing, ang Caraga State University ang owner. So there is sa Caraga State University, so na siya results na search pa dahil. Click search button always. Then, try dayon makita ang results. So, na 17 results, no? So, na siya. If applicant lang imong search. Pwede po siya mag-search through kung say title, mga keyword sa title, keyword sa abstract, description, abstract, ana. So, muna siya ang sa IPOPIL. And the last one is the Derwent Innovation. So, fortunately, sa mga project ni Sir Jeff and Sir Ken, no? So, naka-subscribe ang its office o commercial patent database. Pero, limited lang isa use sa office, its office. So, ako lang po di-share. Ako ipakita sa inyo para may idea. So money ang interface sa Derwent Innovation. So you have to log in, no? So you have to input your email and password para maka-access ka sa ilang database. So using sa project sa IPTBM, so funded by DOST Picard, naka-subscribe ang ng CSU under sa TTLO office. Okay, so ano siyang password. So ipakita lang na ako ang interface. So ano siya ang interface sa the with innovation. So you can do search na patent search na pwede mo mong ma-browse nimo imong search history. So mas nindot ni siya no kay na siya search history makabalo ka nga murag kumbaga na nakay record ba kung unsa tay mong ipang search sa una kung i-retrieve nimo so check na lang ka diri sa search history. So part ni siya sa features sa their innovation and many more features. There is a patent search. If we click this one, so ano siya. So nakay fields. So you can search on title, abstract claims, and then the keywords here. Ano lang. And add job fields. Ano lang. So ano siya interface sa the innovation. All right. So going back sa slides. So mo to siya tanan. So mo ni ang murag common nga ko patent database. Actually daghan pay patent database. Napay sa Japan, JPlatPat. Napay sa wala ko ka-memorize sa uban. Pero I suggest nga you can use Google Patents, Passnet, Patent Scope. Kana siguro turo mo na akong suggestion nga much better po niya daghan mo database nga gamiton para maka-search kid mo relevant document. Okay. So these are some of the common, as I said. So try to explore lang ani nga database. If you can practice further, easy na lang kayo sa inyo ang pag-patent search. So, yes, go ahead.
Di ba ang kaning pag process sa patent is maabtan pag 3 to 6 months before ma-approve. Unya,
Ano daw?
ang pag-process para ma-conserve ba kaning ma-approve ang patent.
Ano man?
Oh. Ang akong pangutana sir is kuan ba makita ba dira akatong mga kaning product na wala pa na approve o wala katong gi-file pa makita ba na mo diri asa kaning mga ipanghatag.
Ang process sa kanang pag-file sa patent, ang pag-approve na by the way is typically around sa wala pa ko na balaan pero na dunggal lang nako. It's around 3 to 5 years na adi sir ma-approve. Gikan sa pag-file nimo 3 to 5 years ang approval na kay i-assess pa man na sa examiner. There will be a lot of processes nga i-go through niya for assessment if kuan ba siya na-involve ba siya og inventive step, novelty of industrial applicability. So the question is kung once na file na nimo ang patent application, kung makita ba siya sa databases. Makita siya after na sa 18 months. Kay gikan sa imong application up to 18 months, mao man na siya ang time na i-publish na sa IPOPIL ang patent application. Kumbaga, so within 18 months, dili pa na siya ma-input sa database kung imo na siyang i-search. Pero pag abot og 18 months and beyond, i-include na niya IPOPIL sa database. So that's why ma-search na nimo. Although na-publish na siya sa database, it does not mean niya dili na siya pasabot niya na approve na siya. And ana na siya okay, klaro? Na-answer ba na ako ang question? So another question from Kuan. So Cyril pwede mangayo, pwede pa. Mag-send na daw si Sir Jeff, Cyril. So I think na siguro ay alas 12 naman po di ay. I think that is all I can share, and I hope you've learned a lot from this topic. Kung ano may pangutan na, pwede ra kanyo pangutan in the afternoon, kaya alas 12 naman po no, kaniod to sa ta. So thank you for listening. Ma'am Jan.
Okay, thank you Sir Lawrence sa another comprehensive nga presentation. Murag bisan ako murag alien pa sa ako ang uban nga mga information nga gihatag. Anyways, based sa ato ang program, 12 noon is lunch break. So we will be back at 1 o'clock for the workshop. But before we will end, pwede na ako i-request ang tanan to open their video cameras for photo documentation. Oops. Ayan. So pila ni siya duha ka slides.
Naaday sila.
Naaday sila. Ayan. Okay, duha ni ka slides. So first slide, pwesto. Ayan, 1, 2, 3. Ay, Mr. George, walay camera si Sir Jason. Okay, sige. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. Again, 1, 2, 3, smile. Next. 1. Okay, tanan na ba naka-open sa camera? Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Smile. Ayan. Thank you very much, everyone. So this afternoon will be the workshop, 1 to 5 p.m. So for the workshop, instructions will be given by the speakers. So lunch break muna. Same link pa rin ha pag-enter na to mamaya sa webinar. Sir Jeff, napakailain ni storya.
Yeah, yes, Jan. Especially for those who are under the OJT program, please download from the LMS katong patent search report nga format. I think we will be using that later on, no, in the workshop as well. So we'll introduce the patent search format, siguro we will agree, and then we will have some exercises as part of the activity this afternoon. All right, that's it, Jan.
Okay, thank you everyone. So see you this afternoon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. So Ken, so I'll just send privately katong some of the exercises I have. So, and then if you want to add more, feel free to add. No? So during lunch. Ako i-chat sa kon ang file. All right. So detail.
Thank you.